Oh, hello. It's me. It's you. It's us. We're here. It's time. My hair is wet. It's the first time I've washed it since before my trip. So that's nice. Yes. Hello. Hi, everybody. Um, Shout out to people in the chat hanging out already. Kitty, is that from today? Kitty? Um, oh, yeah. I see the highs started rolling in earlier. Okay, we got Jazz Dog. We got Goblin. We got Kitty. We got Drea. Hello. We got Faulty Branches. Mama Mephi. Shakespeare. Hello. On the website chat, that's this over here, luxander.net/live. It's not Twitch. Yeah, hi, everybody. And also hello to the YouTube chat. They are chomping at the bit on the YouTube chat. We got Fauna, who's going to be back in an hour. CVO, hello Nicole, what's up Ms. Damie, John Bainbridge, hello, Bloody Hatter, Cafe, Some Guy, great name. We love that. Hi. And it's Trinket, hello. It's me, I'm here. Damn it, that bitch is everywhere I go. True. What, wherever you go, there you are. I find that kind of like it's like a semi-hopeful statement, that it's kind of both. It's like may you live in interesting times, right? That it's either a blessing or a curse depending on the context. And I feel like wherever you go there you are is one of those as well, where it's like, make the best of the situation wherever you are. Kind of reminds me of the Iroh quote from Avatar, where he's like, Zuko's like, I don't want to make a life here. And Iroh's like, life happens wherever you are, you know? On the other hand, wherever you go, there you are, also is kind of like, well, your problems don't just go away when you travel or like when you move somewhere, like I moved 2,000 miles across the country, and let me tell you, I brought all my problems with me. But things are going pretty well, so I'm not going to complain. Talk to Easy. Hello, thank you. Is there a counterspell for interesting times? The times are interesting enough, thanks. Yeah. I think the counterspell, or the best thing you can do, is just have a decent amount of your personal life be like relatively little is happening. I say that after I just got done like dramatically overstimulating myself for 5 days. Yeah, it was crazy. I encountered Wherever You Go, There You Are from The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. That's fun. I can't remember where I first heard it at, actually. I don't know. Lux, can you tell Jovan I'm sorry for stealing his format for my streams, but dang if it ain't a good time. What are you copying from him? I'm terrible. I don't watch any of my fellow streamers. Like, I don't hang out in the chat when I'm not producing or hosting. I'm like, girl, thanks. I'm great. I'm good. I'm golden. I don't need to hang out in someone else's politics conversations, but that's been me for a long time. That's not new. But it does make me a bad friend. So I don't know what you stole of Jovan's. You have consistently all the most unhinged callers. Where do these people all come from? Oh, and yeah, Mephi, you messaged to me that Andrew called you, right? It's like now you're getting the crazy when he's not satisfied or he's not getting through. Andrew from New Jersey was on chewed gum on hold for like an hour and a half last night, and we probably would have taken him, except that there was a change in the schedule, and I wasn't aware that there was a change in the schedule where we were going to be ending at the 2-hour mark instead of usually we go for 2.5 hours and then pass it off to Jimmy and Ari over on Calling It Now. But yeah, I don't know. Curious how many trans people are in this stream. Hands up, got one right here. Sure, hands up or hypers in the chat if you're trans. Sound off, I guess. There's 46 people here. Oh, by the way, if you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. And you can also share the stream if you want. Although, like, I'm not generating any particular political value. I'm literally just here to hang out and tell you about my trip. Because I just went on a road trip. And now I'm home. Let's start a poll. Are you doing your part? Yes, I liked. Yes, I shared. What do I make the third option? I was like, oh, I want it to be like unhinged. The third response. I do that sometimes, you know, where I'm like two normal responses, and then the third response is a little bit unhinged. Or sometimes this is the fourth, depending on how creative I'm feeling. Just came by to deliver some solidarity. I have to be off to conquest some bread. Good luck out there. Get that bread. Shout out to my boy Kropotkin. And yeah, solidarity. Good luck out there in your working world. No, I disappoint mommy. Exactly. Exactly. You guys know. You guys know what's up. You guys know what's going on. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I liked. Yes, I shared. I just want people to know that we're definitely not a normal place. If you come in here, sometimes I struggle with this. Oh my gosh, thank you, Nico, for the membership. Appreciate that. I need to do more for my YouTube memberships. I'm always like, ooh, I'm gonna post for Patreon, and then I forget completely about YouTube memberships. Although, like, I just posted on Patreon. If you want to see pictures of the kitty, you know, I put more up on there, and I'm going to be trying to do weekly posts on Patreon now that I'm kind of like finally getting out of whatever funk I've been in for the longest time and getting my head on straight. It's like, I think I just need to make a habit of posting on Patreon on Mondays. Yeah. But at the very minimum, when you subscribe on YouTube memberships, you get a fun colored name, you get a little star next to your name, and you get access to a couple of custom emojis, as well as some of my previous posts that have been members only. None of us are normal here. True, that's true. Membership renewed for being trans in chat. Yeah. Totally. And yeah, I don't think I have slow mode on. Do I? I was thinking maybe I could add removing some very small amount of slow mode from the chat, but I don't think I ended up messing with that setting. Normal is just a synonym for boring. You know, I guess I think of normalcy as being related to like routine. Which I guess some routines can be boring, I suppose. Like, you know, with a routine, there's an expectation that you have. You're like, I expect things to go a certain way. Jay, hello, says, I have some personal news. I'm participating in a community song for a streamer's birthday. I'm singing in it despite not having any musical experience. That's awesome. Go outside your comfort zone. Do fun new things, especially when it has to do with participating in community. Yes, I approve. I have to explain. Mama says, I have to explain like 8 times per stream what a human right is. It's a principle applied universally to all people to advance a moral goal is burned into my brain. Where does that definition come from, out of curiosity? I've never really thought about... Oh, Jane. I see. Jane-archy. I see the cute little twist in your name now. Thank you for correcting me. But yeah, I guess I've never really thought about the definition of a human right. It's like... Because I've never had to justify that before. You're having this level of conversation where you're like, let's talk about what a human right is. I guess I could see how this would naturally come up because I've noticed frequently, you know, I said I was going to talk about my trip and instead I'm talking about politics and how to discuss, like how to do political rhetoric. That's fun. Classic me. We're going to be here for at least 2 hours. So we got plenty of time to chit chat about why I was gone for 2 weeks and how my trip went. But I know that sometimes when we're like, you know, trans people deserve rights, like trans rights. And then people are like, you guys just want special treatment. You guys just want, you know, like you want things that other people don't have already. um, which like that is part of being in a distinct protected class, right? Like, we would consider abortion to be a human right, even though only like half of people have the reproductive capability that might mean that abortion rights are meaningful to them, right? Um, like if you make abortion legal, I mean, it impacts men, cis men, but not in the same way. Uh, but yeah, so it's like, yeah, if women are the only group, or with voting, right? Like with the Save Act and this whole thing about, your, if your birth certificate doesn't match your current ID, then you might not be allowed to vote. And I guess my question is always like, what if I bring the bridging document with me? Like if your name was changed by court order, what if you just bring your court order and go like, hey, look, that's my old name. Here's the document from the court that says that I changed it. And then here's my current documentation, and all of the names match. But regardless, the burden of proof and the person who that's going to impact the most is women. So like maybe like there should be an explicit like obviously we've already determined that there should be an explicit protection, but that's just one of the underhanded ways where you're like, oh well, anybody whose name doesn't match their birth certificate, but who's the number one group in this country who does that, who changes their last name, it's fucking women who get married. So yeah, I can see a situation where you're like, human rights and like how do some people, like why do some people need extra protection? And then like that the curb effect goes into that as well, where it's like, yeah, this maybe some law was enacted to protect women's rights specifically, like, combating the Save Act in the name of women, but it also could help men. Like I know he's still kicking. I know a man who changed his last name when he got married and like changed it to her last name, and like that is a rare case. Or maybe you're a couple that like hyphenates both of your names or like makes a hybrid last name. So this can impact men too. So it's like doing things that protect the targeted group often end up benefiting people outside that group. Just like creating little ramps on the edges of curbs. Maybe you were thinking of wheelchair users, but it ends up also benefiting like old people who have trouble with steps and women who are driving around their strollers, or parents in general who are driving around their strollers. So regardless, anyway, I don't know how long this is going to go because I have not talked this much in a while. I don't want special treatment. I want equitable treatment. Yes, I want to have the same level of access and hardship as the average person. Or like, yeah, like I don't want to be not able to find a place to live because I'm trans. I want to be having a hard time finding a place to live for the same reason everybody else is, which is that the standards for rentals are so high, right? Like, I just want to have the same level of struggle that everybody else gets to have. I don't want my life to be like uniquely easier than everybody else's. I always want to steal from Lux's wardrobe. Thank you. This was an amazing thrift store find. It even has a little hood on it. So I'm really kind of into my witchy time. It's happening. I've gotten some wonderful new pieces. I just went to the thrift store recently and was like, I have $20 in my wallet. I will buy however many shirts fits into $20, basically. Yeah. Anyway, I do think this is a pretty cute piece. Thank you, Fuzzy Logic, who has who has been a member for 9 months and is what is the word? Oh my God. You are cashing in on your once a month. If you become a member on YouTube, that's one of the other benefits. Once a month, you get like a free super chat, basically. So Fuzzy asked, how do you feel about Jimmy booking a debate with someone called Mother without putting you on the panel? They ended up backing out, so it's moot, but still. I'm never going to forgive him. I don't know how our friendship is going to recover. There's going to be a lot of friction at this month's production meeting, and let me tell you, I'm going to hold his feet to the fire. Absolutely. I'm going to say, look, this is unacceptable. You didn't even talk to me about this, much less putting me on the panel. So, yeah, it's going to be a real significant problem for our company. Anyway, justice for mother. Exactly. Bloody Hatter has gotten inspired. A new project idea. Make a dress with a lace-up collar. Inspired by this shirt that Lux is wearing. Hell yeah. Honestly, yes. I'm starting to figure out what things I like and dislike as far as fashion goes. And like this has got like lots of texture and body. It's got a lot of like volume because it comes forward so much. And there's like all this dynamic stuff going on in the chest. And like, I mean, the rest of the shirt is like pretty plain. You know, let's kind of... It's nothing special. It's got a little droopy kind of like flowy, not tight fitting vibe. So yeah. Oh, by the way, also I just added a whole bunch of stuff to my throne wish list. Speaking of like fashion and I have like whittled down my wardrobe quite a lot because I have gained like 30 pounds since what I weighed most of the time throughout my 20s. And also like a lot of that time was me feeling really awkward about my body and wearing like t-shirts. And so now I don't really wear t-shirts anymore, and I'm trying to develop a sense of style. So I did actually just add some stuff to my throne wish list. It's just throne.com/Luxander. If anybody's interested, that stuff, I will inevitably wear it on stream so long as it fits. There's been a couple things that have been purchased for me through Throne that it's like, what is up with this Asian sizing? You know? And like, I ordered a large, but I don't think this is a large. I don't even think this matches. Like, was this actually a one size fits all, and that size is the most skinny person you've ever seen? And because like, you know, I recently got something from Throne that was supposed to have been a large, and it wasn't labeled large anywhere on it. And also I was like, I literally can't breathe wearing this thing. It was, I mean, I could breathe, but it was genuinely tight enough on the sides of my neck that it would have been like restricting my blood flow in a way that I would have been very uncomfortable. So I was not able to wear that shirt, and now I just have it. But most of the stuff that I just added, I like double, triple checked the sizing, and it should be better. So whatever. If people are interested. As a non-binary person, do you identify with mommy or daddy more? You know what's really funny is that it depends. So for jokes like muscle mommy and stuff, obviously like mommy and like step on me mommy, basically like anytime it's funny, anytime it feels funny for me to go by mommy, I go by mommy, or like mother. But in the actual context of having a child, I was recently inspired by, okay, without spoiling it, in one of my favorite TV shows, there is a gay character, a gay woman character, who finds out that her partner is pregnant, and she's like, I'm going to be a dad. And I was like, oh, I also want to be a dad. Like, if I have a kid, it turns out that what I do, I would like to be dad. I don't know how feasible that will be because I am married to a cis man. And if we had a baby, he would kind of be dad by default. So I don't know if I get to be dad. We haven't even talked about whether we're having a kid. I'm just speculating, completely 100% speculation. But yeah, I don't know how that would work. I know that some obviously there's gay parents who are both men. I just feel like there's usually one of them is like papa and one of them's dad, or maybe one of them's dad and the other one's daddy. I don't know. Can somebody help me? My gender is whatever works for the bit. Yeah, exactly. I know kids can have two dads, but it's like linguistically confusing. Right? Like, part of the utility of the words mom and dad is that they are two different words. And I think that Ash and Gray Hardell, y'all know Ash Hardell. I think that they do the split where one of them is dad and one of them is papa. But I don't want to be papa. That sounds bad. I've also thought of Baba before, but Baba doesn't have any kind of cultural meaning to me, and it does have cultural meaning to, like, I think it's like Middle Eastern languages that use Baba to mean dad. Um, and I'm like, yeah, no, but I want to be a dad though. Like that's like the whole vibe of like, yeah, I want, yeah, that's what I want. Yeah. I miss them online. I think that they do sometimes post Ash and Gray Hardell on like one of their side channels or something. Yeah, there's like the Ash Hardell, but then there's like a side channel where they talk about their parenting stuff. And they also, I think Ash has also recently started like a completely unrelated like a Dungeons and Dragons channel, like one of those like tabletop podcast type things. But I'm not able to find it just on like a quick. I could swear that they had like a second channel, but maybe they changed the name of it so it would be less findable if you are searching like Ash Hardell. Anyway, they're doing well as far as I can tell. Like Ash messages me every once in a while, like to ask me a question and then never responds again. So yeah, being a parent of babies is busy time, and they were in college and now they have professional lives and everything, and like I get it. There's a lot going on. My partner has a daughter and she calls both of us mom. It works fine with us. Okay. Fair enough. It's not confusing, I guess. Um, or it's possible to navigate the confusion when it occasionally, in the same way that sometimes you have to clear up when you are saying the word you. What do you mean? Do you mean the second person you? Do you mean a group of people you? Do you mean like a general, like, well, you don't count your chickens before they've hatched, whatever. Like, I get it. Thank you for the support. I can be a dad if I put my mind to it, it turns out. There are, Mephi, harking back to the conversation earlier, says there's a lot of definitions of human rights, and I created this definition because the standard is usually just universal moral norms, but I use mine because it gives us a means by which to measure what should and should not be rights. It's very tiring. And that definition was a principle applied universally to all people to advance a moral goal. A principle applied universally to all people to advance a moral goal. Okay, I like that. Yeah, within that context of like you invented that definition to follow up says, I find that definition cuts right to the meat of the conversation, which is that their goal is usually not to maximize human health and happiness. It's usually just to please their God, which of course is imaginary, and then they will claim atheists have no morality. Yeah, true. Ooh, Noah has a suggestion. Try the brand Kufandi. Is this for witchy clothes? Okay, stylish men's clothing. Okay, one thing that I've learned is that they provide clothing for race car drivers. Is this to help me with my witchy vibes, or is this unrelated to that? I see polos. What are we looking at? Oh my god, why is this website loading so slow? Okay, no, okay, girl. Okay, girl. Okay, girl. So $70 is more money than I'm willing to spend on like a single item of clothing. I mean, I guess if I could put it on like on a wish list, that would be fine. But come on. Come on, why is this website so slow? Girl, hurry up. Hurry up. Please. I'm trying to show the people something. Oh, good luck putting the baby down for a nap, kitty. I'm sorry that baby is fussy today. I don't like Ren. Short for parent. I don't like Ren very much. What if you went by progenitor? Yeah. But then I feel like that's gonna become like Jenny. I like dad. I just like dad the best. Style tips with Mephi. Sleeves are a psyop to hide your biceps. So true. And I'm like, I really want to start building up and like rounding my shoulders. So it's just gonna, like, I have naturally a lot of biceps going on. I'm hiding it from you because that's what the donation goal is for today. If we get to $100 in direct donations, I will show the flexing. But I really want to like round off my shoulders. And so I will need to do a lot of lateral raises and probably front raises and probably face pulls just to make sure everything stays nice and rounded out. I might spend $70 on my once every 1 to 2 year shoe purchase. Yeah, totally. So this is one that I saw on just looking at, let me make sure that there's nothing crazy on this page. Okay, we're good. Yeah. So I found this on, whoa, come on. I found this on like looking at tops from Kufandy, and this 100%, like we have like knit type fabric. We've got buttons. I don't really love buttons in the middle, but I really am finding that I like this side button situation. We have an asymmetric bottom hem. Listen, that looks fucking comfy. Do they have my color? I got brown. Oh, I like that green. Okay. Listen. I probably need to get more like white or light colored tops as well because I overheat so much in the summer. My partner shared a picture with me that was, let me see if I can find it actually. Oh. Okay, I was gonna look at something that my partner shared with me, and I want to open the picture. Oh my god, why did we talk so much yesterday? I'm like scrolling up, like, oh my god, I just spent 5 days in constant contact with my partner, and yet we are still chit-chatting to each other during our workday. Isn't that cute? Progress. Open image link, I guess. Open image link. Yes. Okay, perfect. This is what I want to look at. Okay. So I looked at this picture my partner sent me, the difference in heat absorption between different colored shirts. So this is like how hot you would get underneath the shirt. Like that's helping me connect, right? Because I get really warm very easily, and obviously so I have to be like careful outside. There was part of this road trip where I took a hoodie and I like was holding it in the air, like covering my legs and my torso like an awning from the sun so that the hoodie would warm up and my body wouldn't because like the direct sunlight and everything. So anyway, looking at this and I'm like, man, it sucks that I really love wearing green now. I know, look at that white t-shirt. That is anti heating up. So I'm like, do I need to fucking wear white now and like risk staining my shit all the time? Cause yeah, I am very sensitive. I wish I could wear all black all the time. Sometimes, I mean, I'm kind of growing past that, but like I've got a lot of really cool black shirts that I would like to wear. But it turns out like actually mesh as a layer keeps you hot. And black keeps you hot if you're in the sun. So yeah, it's like, I guess I could also wear yellow. I could go straight up yellow, which I do like yellow, but I don't really like to wear yellow. I don't really think it probably would complement my skin and my style. But like, look, between like yellow and red, like red performed decently. It wasn't like great, but it definitely is not like, because green is like the highest energy color or something. The blue surprises me actually. I guess it's maybe just like, no, it's not because of how dark the blue is. It's not that dark of a blue. And that like got really, really hot. The purple even though the purple I think is darker than the blue, actually performed a little bit better. But I think orange, given that red performed like this and yellow performed like this, I feel like orange, and I'm getting into wearing orange now. Like, not bright orange, maybe that would be a difference, but I'm into those kind of like autumn color oranges now. So I don't know. Anyway, this is good information to have if you're a person who easily overheats. And like the material matters too. Yeah, someone Scottish asks, is it merino wool that's supposed to be good for keeping cool? I think any natural fiber is supposed to be like useful for keeping cool, but I don't know. I got like some merino wool socks and I was like, oh, I'm melting in these. Purple is best color. Purple is pretty great. I'm on my wish list right now, by the way, there are a couple purple things. I don't normally wear purple, but I'm kind of trying to get into it. Just see if I can throw it in like a nice eggplant purple. And I did add a skirt to my wish list that is purple. It's like, okay, I've added some cool stuff. That skirt, I'm excited about how purple that skirt is. Ooh, baby. Got lots of asymmetric. Oh, also, I don't know if anybody else thinks this, but I think this style of tank top in particular, with like the scoop cut on the sleeve and like it's fitting pretty tight to the neck, like in a crew style, this is screaming like lesbian at me. And I really, really, really want to wear them. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, I just added a bunch of like neat stuff to the wish list. Some of this was already on here. Ooh, do you want to get me my first wet specimen? I have fur, and I have furs, and I have bones. And I've got bones and stuff elsewhere in my house, too. And I've got furs elsewhere in my house. But I don't have a wet specimen yet. I don't yet have a dead animal in formaldehyde or formalin or whatever. So you could be the first person to get me a wet specimen. And then I'll have a diaphanized frog. But yeah, anyway, my trip. Y'all are so curious, I'm sure, about my trip. So I've been gone for longer than my actual trip was because they needed me to do something on producing for one of the other shows during a time where I normally am streaming on Sunday. So I ended up like just taking off a little extra time essentially off of streaming, even though I was still very much working. But then I left on Wednesday last week. We went to Kansas. Oh my gosh, there was something in my tooth just then. Sorry. So we drove from Portland to Kansas, and then we were in Kansas for, I mean, of course, like, because we drove through Kansas, we were like, quote unquote, in Kansas for a longer time. But as far as like, we reached our destination, we were doing stuff in the place that we had sought to get to. We were only there for a day. And then we actually left that night. Like, so we got there Thursday night and then stayed there overnight, had our whole day, and we left right after the wedding. We left from the wedding and immediately hit the road. And we drove for like a few hours Friday night to kind of try to get ahead of the rest of our trip so that we could make it home in the like afternoon, like late afternoon, early evening is when we ended up arriving home on Sunday to give us a little bit of time to like rest and chill and recover and everything. So, yeah. It was a safe trip. We drove safely. We didn't get lost. We didn't almost run out of gas. I got my brakes fixed and I got my tires rotated beforehand and the cruise control was working. I put all this money into my car before we left. So, yeah. It was a good trip. And I got to see my friend who got married. I got to see my sister-in-law, who I love very much, and her almost 2-year-old baby, which is great. That child has leadership skills. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see my other two, the other two siblings of that baby, because they were all at school during the time that we had to hang out. But it was so good. We got to see friends. We got to give hugs. As far as I can tell, neither of us have gotten sick. We were really on it with wearing masks and washing our hands and stuff the whole trip. So, so far as I can tell up to now, I feel like we successfully dodged any bullets with that, um, which is just a testament to the power of the N95 and the KN95, because we stopped at gas stations literally all over that 2,000 miles. Must have spent a fortune on gas. Yeah, because we both spent money on this, I don't actually have a number for how much money we spent on gas. And like I drive like a little car, that gets pretty decent gas mileage. So it wasn't terrible. It was definitely way cheaper in Kansas. I think the cheapest. I am old. Okay, this is how I know I'm old, because the entire trip we were like, well, that's the cheapest gas I've seen so far. And I think the cheapest gas we saw the entire trip was $3.83. Now that we're back in Oregon, it's like $5 a gallon. Like, it has not, as well, I haven't been paying close attention, but the closest gas stations to where I live, or where I usually gas up, I should say, have not yet actually hit the $5 number, but they're getting close to that, right? Like, I gassed up at around, like, I think it was like 460 or 470 before we left, and the gas prices went up in that week. So 383, I've seen gas over $6 here. Wow, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I think the 383 was in western Kansas, I want to say. So, yeah, it was crazy. I have a bike now, or will later today. That's exciting. That's exciting. I have a bike that I'm basically, like, a huge part of working my health up this year is like working to a place where I can bike as one of my exercises. $3.59 a gallon in Oklahoma. Goodness. I get really good fuel economy in my truck at like 22 to 25 miles a gallon. That's really not bad for a truck. What kind of truck do you have? Because I'm thinking about getting a truck at some point. I'm contemplating. I haven't decided to get a new vehicle. But I don't know. I want to have a vehicle that's practical, and my vehicle right now is like, sure, it's small and it gets good gas mileage, but it's like not particularly comfortable for those long trips. It does not feel particularly ergonomic for my needs in my body. It's also not very big in terms of like, there's not a huge amount of space to put stuff in it if I want to take stuff. I also don't think my car is like strong enough to really do any kind of significant pulling any weight behind it. So, a diesel truck from 1920s Italy. True. It's about $4.50 here in New York. Here in West Virginia, it's between $4.90 and $5.30 a gallon. Goodness. $5 a gallon in Phoenix. Got a 2025 Toyota Tundra SR5 with the 3.4 twin turbo V6. Ooh, okay. Yeah. But for now, I'm just going to keep taking care of my little car. But I'm just thinking, if we drive back, because I think that driving back to Kansas is our best option, right? I will not fly. I just won't. I'm sorry. I actually don't even know if I've told my partner this, or if it's just kind of implied that on account of the disgusting diseases of it all and the lack of fresh air in your flight of it all, I have no intentions of ever being aboard an airplane until, like, there are structural changes, like, intensive air filtration and pumping in of fresh air and everyone wearing a mask. Like, unless there are some fundamental infrastructural changes to how we do airplane travel, I will not travel in an airplane. But there's also, like, okay, a bus. Okay, well, we're running into a similar problem on the bus with there's people the entire time. I have to wear my mask the entire time. The air filtration is poor. Don't love it, right? And then there's trains, which I did look into the train thing last year. I think I was like, could we go back for the Renaissance Festival last fall? Which obviously we didn't do. We ended up going, we got here and we were here for more than a year before we made our first trek back. Like, we moved in January, and as of this trip, that's the first time that we've been, I went to Washington, but that's functionally the first time we've been out of the state, and certainly the first time we've been back home. So I was like, okay, we could do Amtrak. And you've got the two options there, where you have a, you're in a car with other people, which again, having the problem with not being able to take off my mask the entire time, or you can get a private car, but it costs like $1,000 and it still takes you 3 days. Like it takes you 3 days instead of we managed to drive it in 2 days, both directions, right? Like we left in the morning on Wednesday in Portland and we got to Wyoming. So we went through all of Oregon, through Idaho, through the tippy top of Utah, and into Wyoming the first day. We really pushed it. And then we went from Wyoming through Colorado into Kansas, and we reached Kansas City, where we were trying to reach and get a hotel room and everything on Thursday night. So we can drive it in 2 days with my partner and I switching off. He ended up doing the majority of it, but I was like, I'm definitely going to drive a decent portion of this. So it does kind of seem like traveling from Oregon to Kansas, that the best option is to drive, as far as how much, like the perfect mixture of like how much time it takes and like being able to accommodate for not getting sick, that we stopped at these like trucker stops and put on our masks and go in, use the bathroom, leave, a few every few hours or whatever. Yeah, it just seems like that's the only realistic option, which sucks because I know that, car travel is one of the things that makes society kind of shitty and it contributes to a lot of climate change stuff and everything. Like, I get that. Yeah, if we had high speed, imagine having high speed rail for all of this shit. Like, I don't know, I guess maybe you would go like one train, like one really high speed train from Oregon down into California and then from California straight out through the Rocky Mountains. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? If we could have one of those, like do it for like 200 miles an hour the whole way, or even more, right? Like some of those trains these days can go more than 200 miles an hour and it's very safe. I mean, we're still running into the issue of I would have to pay for a private car unless I want to wear a mask literally the entire time and not be able to eat, basically. Yeah, it would be so tricky. Train! Yes, I love seeing trains on trips. I'm like, train. The Euros figured it out. We could do trains. It's not that hard. Well, okay, I will say, to be fair, it is a monumental effort to put down rail lines across this expansive nation and across its many hills and hummocks over the span of many hundreds of miles. Europe is a tiny little place, very tiny little place compared to America, right? I'm going 2,000 miles from Portland to Kansas City. So some newer cars have the auto start stop when at a stoplight, and that's there to lower emissions. Nice. I've always heard that it takes more gas to start up the engine than it does to idle the engine. But I don't actually know if that's true. Yes, America is very big. Yes. Time for us to shrink our living circles. I mean, but we are always going to be migratory, or like we're going to move away from the place that we were born. Like, do I, after moving to Oregon, just like stop seeing people who live in Kansas, right? Like my siblings and their kids and stuff. Yeah, okay, true. May says, imagine for 1 second that we weren't allowed to build any bombs. We just had to build rail. True. We could definitely make it happen. It would create a lot of jobs. Yeah, for sure. We definitely could. In those vehicles with the auto stop, they've done some modifications for the start to keep it from taking the extra fuel. Okay, that's cool. Okay, I can see that. Yeah. My partner was saying that he can kind of appreciate the idea of an electric car on a road trip because it kind of forces you to take longer breaks, right? So if every 3 hours you have to stop and it takes 30 minutes for your car to charge, then he's like, it kind of forces you to take more of a break which like I don't know why it's like if you I'm like, babe, do you need longer breaks? We could just take longer breaks. But there is this tendency to be like, okay, we fueled up the car, we went pee, maybe we get food, but then we get back in the car and then keep rolling, like keep it rolling. So, but yeah, this country is so beautiful. Something that Demon Mama said, we were recording a podcast on Tuesday before I left for my trip on Wednesday. And I mentioned I was going on this trip. And Demon Mama said that not too long ago, she had done the trip from where they live up in Washington over to North Carolina and back. And I was like, oh shit, you guys really did the whole thing. Really did the whole thing. They were going to visit family or something with one of Demon Mama's partners or something like that. And she said the thing that struck her, one of the things that struck her during this trip that they had made was that, like how much of this vast, beautiful country has been captured by the American empire. But like there is so much big empty land, right? Like it's like, how do you even have centralized control over this? How can you have centralized control over this? And you can't. It has to be through cooperation, you know? Like the states do have the ability to say fuck you to the federal government to some extent. And I'm like, even within the bounds of like not seceding or whatever, like there is a huge amount of like, you know, yeah, sure, you can come into our cities and like make life worse in our cities, but there's a whole bunch of country people with their guns. Like, what are you going to do? Like, how are you gonna? You cannot exert total control in a nation as large and widespread and diverse as the, you know, Estados Unidos. My best friend travels to educate at cons and events and stuff, and driving has been the best bet financially and in many other ways since even before 2020. I appreciate that perspective. Yeah, it does seem like the best way to go until we have major high speed rail that is affordable and COVID safe, you know? The US should be more like the EU. Do you think that we should just fully be like different countries? And then it's like we have a loose agreement, but and that okay, so I'm actually curious how this works. If people in the EU or who know how the EU works, like what's your deal? Um does the EU have any laws that are like its members can't do certain things, right? Like cuz is my understanding is that like does the European Union have their own like anti-discrimination and human rights stuff where it's like member states cannot pass laws that make it that make it illegal to be gay, that make it gay to be illegal. Um so it's like how in what ways is that different? I guess it's just easier to get kicked out. Like if you were to disobey the rules of being a member of the European Union, they would just kick you out and then you would get to be your own independent country. Just you would lose the benefits of being a member of the EU. Whereas like in the United States, if one of the member states doesn't want to do what the federal government says, then the federal government like forces them to do it and sends in troops and stuff. And if they wanted to secede, it starts a whole fucking war instead of just being like, yeah, you know what, go ahead and do your own thing. Because I can see that being like, you know, should the United States be more of like, the word that comes to mind is confederation, but that is a sensitive term to use in the context of American history. So, but like, you know, like an agreement of a bunch of independent states that have the option to be like, nah, I'm going to revoke my membership. And there's not going to be a war about it, right? Like there's no war that the European Union is like, fuck you, Britain, you have to remain part of the European Union. I'm so thirsty. Oh my God. It's so hard being me. Nico says, also look at the US's record in military conflict against an armed, organized, and local resistance. To be fair, I haven't really looked into it a bunch. That's an interesting thought, though. Sinfinex says, I rode Amtrak from California to New York not too long ago, and it was slow, but it was super cozy. That's especially when compared to planes. Yeah, no, it's like cozy. You can like get up and walk around and stuff. But like, again, my main problem with it was that it cost $1,000. And that is the cost of like having my own private area where I do not have to wear a mask the entire time. So, but I'm like, I get it. Yeah. I think it's good that we have trains. It just doesn't fit for what I'm trying to accomplish. Hey, Babs. This part of Turf Island, we left the European Union and lost most of our human rights protections. I assume that that's what you mean to say, that you lost them. Yeah. Bullshit. Major issue with trains here, at least Amtrak here in the US, is that the rails are poorly maintained, which limits the speed they can travel at and makes it a rough ride. Yeah. You have to, like, actually give a shit about interstate commerce. Oh, okay, so speaking of interstate commerce, I-70 in Kansas was the best road experience of the whole trip, basically. Like, throughout Oregon on I-89 or I-84, there's like a graininess to the road that makes it really loud, and it's kind of the similar in throughout Idaho. And then you get into Utah, and there's so much like it feels like, okay, you know, they do the road in chunks. So it's like if you're looking at this is the long of the road, and they do it in like little chunks. It felt driving through Utah like somehow there was like sinkage in between every one of those like chunks. So like the very center of the chunk like sunk down, and so that there was like a bump at every place where they met. So the whole road, you're like, I was like, is there something wrong with my tire? I genuinely thought something was wrong with one of my tires. And then Wyoming and Colorado were both just like, actually, I feel like Wyoming was okay. It's hard to say because part of the drive through Wyoming was either at night or like during snow. We drove through snow in Wyoming, which is great because we didn't get any snow here in Portland this year, this winter. So I got a little bit of snow driving through. It was not dangerous for our driving in any way. I mean, aside from the road being like a little bit wet, it wasn't bad. But yeah, especially like, it's crazy. The roads in Colorado were so shit. Like, in the sense of like, the road was fucked up sporadically, but like a lot, like frequently, where you're like, and you go over a hard thing and you're like, oh fuck, like, I hope I didn't just destroy my tire. Yeah, snow in May, that's what it's like in Wyoming. Technically, it was the very end of April, but yeah, like Wyoming, everything I know about Wyoming is that it's like a pretty low population of people, and it snows a lot. Oh, and also here's another fun fact I learned about Wyoming on this trip is that there are a shit ton of pronghorn antelope there. Like, so fucking many. An insane amount of antelope. For it, which is crazy, especially because I didn't even know that we had antelope in North America until like a year and a half ago. So there were so many just right next to the highway the entire time. So let's go over the animals that we saw on this trip. We saw bighorn sheep. At least that's what we're pretty sure that they were. Both leaving and coming back. We saw bighorn sheep. At first it was only a couple of them, and then we saw like a huge herd of them. I want to say like it was in like Idaho or Eastern Oregon on the way back. And yeah, so we saw like a huge herds of bighorn sheep on the side of the mountain. We saw, again, a lot of fucking antelope. I saw, I believe, 2 coyotes. One was super mangy. Let's see, what else did we see? My partner saw what he thought was a boar. but it was hard to tell because it was at like a weird angle. I saw a pheasant with a little like ring around its neck and the red feathers on its head. So yeah, I saw a pheasant, coyotes, bighorn sheep. I want to say that's basically it as far as, oh, I saw deer, of course, like driving through driving through Kansas on I-70 as we were approaching our destination. And then there were deer like right off the side of the road, and I was like, my sphincter is the tightest it has ever been right now. I am locked in right now. Because obviously I'm like, wouldn't it be terrible if we drive all the way from Portland to Kansas City and right before we get to our destination we crash the car into a fucking deer? But that did not happen. No, we had no near miss situations on the road this time, which is good. Because I have had a near miss situation with a deer before, and that shit's scary. The whole thing about gas, about cars using more gas when the engine starts is from the age of carburetors, and that's no longer the case. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Ooh, Mama Methy says, speaking of country people with guns, my D&D group did something I am so proud of. They're trying to take down this mining operation and free the slaves there. So they went to the Board of Missing People who were enslaved and started calling up all of the call this number if you find them numbers, and are rallying an army of random people with their shotguns and pickup trucks, or the sci-fi equivalent, in a powerful statement of collective strength. Oh my goodness. That's very fun. Elk are way scarier, I bet. I've never seen an elk in person. Billy, oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Wow. Good to see you, by the way. I noticed your presence at Chewed Gum last night. Appreciate you, as always, for hanging out. But thank you so much for the extremely generous $100 super chat. Billy says, I lived in upstate New York my whole life. Running into deer is very scary. Yes. Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's like late spring, so I don't know if maybe this is their active time. I know I'm always like hesitant on the roads. Like, you know, obviously deer are around all the time, but they're particularly active during the spring and the autumn. And so I'm always like super aware during those times of year that there's a higher probability of running into deer. And of course, you know, back home it's white-tailed deer. Yeah. I wonder if antelope are like smarter, because I feel like for the large number of antelope that were right next to the road the entire fucking time we drove through Wyoming, there were relatively few, I thought, you know, carcasses on the side of the road, relatively few blood stains on the road from recent accidents, like recent, you know, hitting an animal type accidents. And I just don't know if they're like smarter, or maybe they don't jump as much, like if maybe they, you know, there's fencing along the entire side of the highway, like are deer just more likely to jump it? Or maybe, I don't know, in certain parts of Kansas there isn't a fence, there's just trees up to a certain distance of the edge of the road, and then there's just grass, so like there isn't any kind of
Cliff got a tier 1 subscription. They're fixed it.
Okay, there isn't any type of like anything that gets in the way. Thank you, Cliff, for the $5 tier 1 sub, or maybe you got 3 months. I don't know. I'll find out later. But we did get to the donation goal just then, which the donation goal is for me to flex my muscles. I don't even work out this part of my body. I just have naturally big biceps. So that's an easy goal. And I'm going to start working out my biceps as soon as it feels like I can safely work out my upper body without triggering like events. So I'll be building out the shoulders and the triceps. I just have so much fat on the back of my arm that you can't see my triceps, even though they're like probably one of the most shredded muscles in my body, honestly, is this part of my triceps. But thank you for getting us to the dono goal. Whitetail are dumb as heck and will run into the side of your car. Yeah, maybe they're dumb. Maybe they're just like especially dumb. Where the deer and the antelope play, isn't that an American song? Yeah, but that would have required me to think about that. But you're correct, yeah. That is... Oh my god, what song is that? Home on the Range. Okay, cool. I got there. I had to like play the song in my head for a second to get to the chorus. Yes, that's Home on the Range. But yeah, I just didn't think about that. Had to go do my job for a few minutes and come back to flexing. Nice. Yeah, let's get another one just for good measure. I thought they were gone now, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's like deer. The antelope are like deer. And in that way where it's like you can hunt them, but there's limitations and you can only do, maybe only one per season or whatever. I gotta get more water. I'm gonna die. I haven't like I was with my partner in the car the whole time and we did talk, but never me talking consecutively for an entire hour, so struggling. But I'll be back momentarily. Here's a kind of random question. Do you think that I would make any money if I just did a chair stream? If I just was like, this is a chair stream, and then I just wasn't here, and it was just like my chair for 3 hours? I just think it would be funny. Home, and deranged. True. Lux, do you watch Lean Beef Patty? Um, oh, she's one of the hot muscle mommy ladies, isn't she? Or wait, is Lean Beef Patty the one who we had on with Forrest not too long ago? Who the fuck? I think I've heard of them before. Lean Beef Patty. So I've definitely seen her on social media, but I don't like follow her. Let the cat do the entire stream. True. I was recently thinking about Claire Max and the fact that like I don't see her post ever because she's still on Twitter, I think. Yeah, man. Hot, muscly ladies are so inspirational. Did I tell you guys that I recently bought a dress that's like it's open and strappy in the back? And I was like, oh, this dress is specifically gonna look really good once I have bigger back muscles. Very specifically. And I don't normally do that. I don't normally buy clothes thinking like, oh, I will look good in that later, right? Like, oh, after I change my body, I'll look better. I try not to do that. I try to have a level of body acceptance. How is Mina? She's good. She was apparently a little stressed out by us being gone, which is, understandable, but my younger sibling was here the entire time. And, yeah, apparently So like I'm home every day and I'll leave for like a couple hours at a time to go run errands or whatever, but I'm just home during the day and my partner works during the day. And so like she's used to, one or both of us being gone for short periods of time, but apparently, so we left relatively early Wednesday morning. My partner and I left at the same time together, which normally we don't do. And apparently by the end of the day on Wednesday, Mina was like meowing at our front door. And I was like, poor baby. Oh no. But she got through it. She was okay. She had a person with her here the entire time. Her needs were taken care of and all, but she was definitely happy when we got back. She was like really a little overstimulated at times when we got back. But she was happy, and by the end of the night, she was attacking us again. Getting her chomps, getting her bites.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Billy. Hold on, I'm eating bread right now. Give me a second. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Billy. Says Luxander, you're an amazing person. Thank you so much. You do a lot for the shows that I dearly love, so this is just another opportunity for me to keep supporting people I really appreciate. Thank you. Genuinely. I'm glad that I'm providing a service that you appreciate. So, yes, I appreciate it. Thank you. I do get like a portion. I think I get like roughly 20% of the super chat donations when I'm producing a show. So I have received directly some of that in the past, but obviously this is going to come directly to me. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. Where does my chat go? There we go. Mama says, hi, it's me, the hot muscly lady. I got a down lighting setup for my TikToks and it works so good. Do you mean like you're lit from the top or you're lit from the bottom? Justice for Mina, how dare you abandon the little angel? I know it's illegal for her to be sad. I know. We did so bad. We did so bad. And we're contemplating, our next trip, or I've been kind of like formulating some ideas about what our upcoming trip is going to be. And I would like to go to Kansas. We would like to go to Kansas for the Kansas City Renaissance Festival, but that's in September, October roughly, which is not very far away. And it's like, are we... I guess, obviously we did this one earlier in the year, and we are typically not going to have a specific reason to travel out on May Day to go to Kansas. So if we were like once a year, we're making this trip to Kansas. Like, okay, is it reasonable that like once a year we drive for 2 days solid, stay in Kansas for 3 days, drive back for 2 days solid, and then take a day off when we get home, right? Like, so 8 days over the course of a weekend. So maybe we're only actually taking off like 5 work days. But yeah, that's what it's going to be, I guess. It does make me want to get a new vehicle, though, that's more comfortable. It's like, okay, but the fact that we drive home to Kansas once a year is part of having a vehicle, unless we want to rent a vehicle, which I guess we could do. Lux, can you give me a dinosaur to add to my Jurassic World Evolution 3 park? Mosasaurs. I'm just kidding. I don't think that's actually an option, probably. You got ichthyosaurs? Or some kind of pterosaur. I'm into it. We saw a statue of a pterosaur outside of, I think, Hays, Kansas. I think there's like there's a dinosaur museum of some kind out there that we did not stop at. I need to get in shape, but I said after I got out of the military, I wasn't forcing myself to work out, but my kids' energy levels kick my ass. I would say, make it into something that is also fun, you're trying not to force yourself to work out. So what if you like are going for a walk, but part of the walk is like you're bird watching or I don't know, some other kind of like walking activity where or you're like trying to identify trees or something. So like going for a walk is a common one that I hear that's like, it makes it feel less like overtly just exercising because there's so much other stimuli, and also because you're not like pushing yourself in a form of exercise. My aforementioned traveling friend has a car that's more comfortable than my house. When you're lit from the top, it's really good for showing off muscle definition. True. Okay, cool. Pokemon Go could be good for trying to get a walk in. Yeah, fair enough. Bab says, I am in shape. Round is a shape. That's true. Without my dog, I would get zero exercise. Totally. I've heard that from people that it's like, I got a dog because actually I was just watching or listening to an interview between Hank Green and Simone Giertz, who is she basically said that like I got partially why I got a dog was because our needs are so similar that while I'm taking care of the dog, I will also be taking care of myself. Like the dog needs you to wake up this is not something she said, but this is something I have thought before. The dog wakes up in the morning and is like, I need you to let me outside to go pee. So you're like, okay, you're getting up at a certain time because your dog is much more insistent. In my experience, dogs, maybe just because they weigh more, they have a capability to be way more pushy about having their needs acknowledged than a cat does. It's like sometimes the cat will like meow outside the door, but like the level of destruction that they're capable of wreaking. So Goblin, actually, she has changed. So her name was originally pronounced Yetch, Giertz, Yetch, but she recently posted that was confusing, so she is changing the way that her last name is pronounced to Geertz. Unless I misheard it, and it is supposed to be Yeertz now, but I think she said Geertz. She's just like, I'm simplifying this by changing how my last name is pronounced. And that was a very recent YouTube short of hers that I saw. But it was originally Yetch. And now it's Geertz. Or potentially Yeertz, I guess, if I didn't hear it correctly. Cats are horrifically destructive. My experience so far, and I've had cats like my entire life, has been that cats are generally not that destructive. I know that they're capable. Like, yeah, they will sometimes scratch on your door jambs, but you just put double-sided tape on the door jambs and they don't like the way that it sticks on their hands, so they stop scratching, right? Like, I feel like it's relatively simple to get cats to stop doing stuff. I'm fighting a bunion, which makes it hard to go on longer walks. Dude, one of my neighbors broke some glass outside of where I live, and I thought that they had cleaned it all up, but it turns out that there was a small shard of glass, and it cut the bottom of my foot. So I'm dealing with that right now, where I'm like, I was planning originally to go to the gym and do my like leg presses and stuff yesterday, and but between being like super duper tired and like my muscles were all achy, like my back was so achy after like I did all of the last bit of driving on Sunday, and we were going through like twisty turny parts of the mountains and everything, so I was like using those muscles to stabilize myself a lot. And also I fucking cut the bottom of my foot on a piece of glass. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take this message from the universe and say that I am not going to go to the gym. So now I do have to try to squeeze in going to the gym tomorrow before Takis. And Takis starts for me at noon. So getting my ass to the gym and working out for over an hour is gonna have to happen sometime. Like, and I think that I also was planning to make a pot roast tomorrow, which I'm gonna have to do in the morning. So yeah, tomorrow is gonna be a busy as fuck day. I'm just thinking about it, and I'm like, ugh. But if all goes according to plan, you will see me on Takis tomorrow with Riverboat Jack, which is always a good time. And then it's kind of, we're figuring out what's going to be happening with Calling It Now, because I am supposed to be, I'm supposed to be doing Calling It Now with Jimmy tomorrow, but he was like, work is really stacking up and it looks like tomorrow is going to be busy. So he's trying to find me a co-host for tomorrow. And I was like, yeah, but I'm really fucking tired still, so if we don't do that, if I'm not doing a double tomorrow, that might actually be better. But at least I'll be on Calling It Now with Riverboat Jack. Dogs can be great for mental health. You get a routine, can't sleep in too much, exercise, unconditional love, and goofiness. Yeah. What shall I name the Mosasaurus? Lawrence, because there is a Mosasaurus skeleton at a museum in Lawrence, Kansas that I went to when I was a young warthog. Name it Lawrence. Lawrence the Mosasaur. A BAFTA. Yeah, the busy as fuck day. Forrest will do it. That guy never rests. It has been really fun to have an opportunity to do some political shows with Forrest recently. Because we're not limited in our topic in the way that, like, on The Line, we are trying to mostly keep it related to religion. Just double checking for my sanity, there wasn't a Takis last week, right? If there wasn't one, then that is, I don't know, I was gone. I wasn't here. Was there not one last week? Did we have to actually cancel? Because I knew that we were having trouble finding coverage. Yeah, I guess we just didn't have Takis last week. Oh shoot. We ended up not able to find coverage for it? That seems crazy. But it's not there. Damn, yeah, I guess we just kind of skipped it last week. Well, that doesn't bode well for... There's one later this month that I'm also not available for because I'm doing something school-related. Local elections voting in the UK tomorrow. Yeah, we are doing primaries. It's primary season here in Oregon, so we're deciding like who's going to be on the ticket later this year. It's going to be fun. Forrest reposted one of my TikToks and I felt so seen. Yeah, he's a really cool dude. I was thinking about, I'm like, I like Forrest a lot. Do I like Forrest a lot because, like, why? Why do I like Forrest a lot? And I think at least part of the answer is I see him more than almost anybody else I work with. I think I like Alyssa and Taylor the best. I will actually, sometimes we end the call with Taylor and Alyssa and I'm like, love you guys. And they're both like, love you. So that's the level of friendship I'm at with them. I like being friends with women because you can get to that level of friendship and it's like really comfy. But yeah, Forrest is one of the only other people who I see like on a truly weekly basis. At least once a week too, because he's consistently on After Dark and also consistently on Skep Talk. So it's like it's one of the two shows or it's both of them pretty much every week. So I'm like, yeah, of course I like Forrest. I see him more than almost anybody else I work with. Friend tier list when, listen, I'm not really truly like good friends with I don't think any of these people know anything about me. We're just really good work friends, you know? Yeah, why the fuck do I feel so awkward telling my guy friends I love them? You know, I was thinking about this a little bit, Dizzy. Maybe in a slightly different context, but it's like, you know, my husband is friends with a lot of women / femmes and non-binary people. And how sometimes I can get a little bit jealous or in my feelings about that. But I'm like, it's actually such a blessing that my husband is a safe friend for women and femmes. Like, that he's like, I don't think of people sexually unless I have their consent to think of them sexually. So I basically only think of you sexually. And I'm like, okay, cool. That makes me feel comfortable. I'm like, but like, how fucked up would it be if I was like, no, it's makes me feel weird that you're friends with so many women and femmes, and that if he were to like stop being one of the only safe men that you can just be friends with and be like, oh, he's not doing anything. He has no intentions to do anything about anything. Because I have had at least a couple friendships in my life where I'm like, oh, I'm like really good work friends with a man. And then I go hang out outside of work, or like, you know, I borrow something outside of work or something. And for them to be trying to make a move, or like that we're clarifying our friendship in that context. And it's like, yeah, I like, what about me made you think that I was interested? Is it just that femmes and guys are not friends with each other? Like, so yeah, there's that part where you're like, of course you can't tell your male friends that you love them, because then they will think some type of way about that. And then it's your fucking problem. Calling It Now replaced it? Oh, did they? So they did Calling It Now just way earlier in the day? I think it was Javon shared his stream as a kind of substitute. Oh, okay, it was Calling It Now. Okay, cool. Do we have a troll in the chat, or just somebody who's maybe like English second language? What is going on in the YouTube chat right now? Forrest is affable, smart, and good-natured, as far as I can tell. If he's like that in his day-to-day, then it makes sense he's easy to like. Yeah, we've all talked about this, that like the person that we are on stream, you cannot reasonably keep that performance up for 3 solid hours or fucking 8 solid hours, right? So maybe the person that we are representing ourselves as on stream is like somewhat refined, but it has to be mostly genuine, because it's just so hard to make it last if you're like literally acting. Literal actors don't have to hold on to it for 3 consecutive hours. Like in a stage play, there's going to be times where you're off the stage and you're on the sides for a minute, or even like, yeah, I mean, if you're changing outfits or whatever, there's necessarily going to be times where you can switch it off. Or if you're making movies and television, okay, action, film a 2-minute scene, cut. You can go back to being a normal human being. So it's like, it would be kind of insane for a streamer to maintain a completely fabricated person to be for that time. And like, again, I say, there is some reasonable amount of like, okay, you know, you're not necessarily being your most depressed version of yourself on stream. Like, you know, maybe you're putting some energy into it even if you are feeling depressed that day. But the person that you're being is still, to some extent, an authentic version of yourself, you know? I know I'm a way back bencher, but y'all can call me if you need a sub for Takis. Yeah, I think I may have even mentioned, I can't remember if it was like several weeks prior or something, so I don't know. I know that, you know, Arden is getting really busy right now. She's about to be taking a leave of absence in like a month, so she's like, and they're still like doing their reptile business and stuff on the side, so I don't know what happened, if it was just like, if everybody decided that it would be easier not to do it. That might have happened. I had no idea last week, and then Takis just wasn't there. It took me a few minutes to adjust, and I'll be okay as long as we have Takis tomorrow. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have Takis tomorrow. Like, I feel a level of confidence that we're going to have Takis tomorrow, and I don't know if we're having Calling It Now tomorrow. That's the only thing. It's like Jimmy and I are kind of in the middle of trying to negotiate how we're doing this. Like I said, I was like, I'm so tired, I would not mind. I was like, I will not cry if it ends up being that we can't do it. Yeah, I don't know if that was a crash out in the YouTube chat or something. Like, are you okay? It threw me a little, but I found something else to listen to. Lux and Jack is my personal favorite Takis tag team. I think we do make a good team. I know that there's a lot of overlap in our fans already. Like, lots of folks are, Jazz Dog, who I play the music from Jazz Dog at the beginning of the stream. Jazz Dog has also written music for Jack and hangs out in Jack's chat. Like, I think that there just is a lot of overlap in our communities. So for us to be doing a show together, definitely it brings a certain vibe. It brings a certain je ne sais quoi, to it. And I'm in the middle of posting clips. I'm finally catching up on posting clips, which I kind of just didn't do at all for most of the month of both March and April. I kind of took like a month and a half off of doing that. Not intentionally, but because I just could not make myself sit down and do it. So now I'm posting clips again, and we're in the middle of doing some clips from streams with Jack. Here's a question. I have a question, actually. If I'm posting clips, and so like currently I have several shows worth of clips, right? And for each one, like maybe this most recent one, not the most recent one, the one that I'm editing currently with me and Riverboat Jack, there's like 3 solid clips that I can use from that. And then more recently, I did a show with like Josie Caballero, and we have I have like maybe 1 clip with her or whatever. Does it make a difference if I'm posting every week? Like if I'm posting a clip every week from the show, should I split it up, or like can I just do 3 in a row with Riverboat Jack and just do it basically in chronological order? Or should I rotate around or be like, okay, I posted 1 with Riverboat Jack, and now I'll post from the following show 1 from Josie or whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure if it matters at all. The way that I would like to do it is just do it completely in chronological order and not have to think about it any further than that. But I can only do them so far into the future because I need to like update the Patreon credits and stuff at least every couple months, if not every month. Lux, do you like pro wrestling? I don't really feel any type of way about pro wrestling. Gonna make coffee with cinnamon, vanilla, honey, and cream. Girl, that sounds so good. That sounds delicious. Jovan's Discord was talking pairings the other day, and obviously everyone's fave is Jovan and Lux because y'all bring out the spicy in each other. Every time I'm on with Jovan, I'm like, he seems annoyed today. Not at me, but he just gets so annoyed with the callers, which is it's funny. I don't know what the deal is, if I just keep catching him on the wrong days or something. But yeah, it's fun. We've established that we agree on a lot of stuff, so we're good at like tag teaming on things. It's fun. I also like Jovan. He's cool. I'm not gonna be like I have a favorite person to host with, because I don't think I actually do. I'm like, I appreciate things about hosting with all the different people I've shared time with. Rotating, I think, is better for engagement. Yeah, Scottish, you're catching my drift. I would go with whatever has the lowest barrier to make the workflow easier. That's literally, I'm at that level where I'm like, I really don't want to be doing this, so I'm just going to try to make it as streamlined as possible. Lux and Jack is the dream team. Lux and Jovan is an amazing tag team. What do we think of Lux with Forrest? Because I did get to do Calling It Now with Forrest a couple times recently, and I thought that was a fun time. We all hate Jimmy. I like being on with Jimmy. Yeah, I enjoy spending... You know, all of these people are like my friends, or at least we're friendly, and I'm like trying to invest more in our friendship, so I'm like, I like all these people. If DaVinci Studio didn't let me export multiple clips from a single project at once, I would post far less often. Yeah, that's true. I have one master file that I do all of my editing in, and periodically I go through and like delete old footage and like old sequences. I'll just periodically I like trim it down a little bit, but I have like it's accumulation of months. It's like one true project. I do all of my editing in that. Do you know Gutsick Gibbon? I know Erica. I don't know her super well. I don't see her as often as I see some of my other hosts, but I do see her, yeah, basically at least once a month. But part of the problem is Erica likes to show up like in the last 5 minutes before the show starts, which means I don't have very much time to actually chit chat with her and get to know her off stream. Whereas, like, you know, I have 15 minutes, at least 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes to talk to Alyssa and Taylor before every chewed gum. Yeah. Javon's callers tend to be a special kind of stupid. I think both you and Javon attract annoying as fuck callers, and it gets hella bad when you're together. Okay, I'll take it. That's funny. Lux and Forrest is fun. Lux and Forrest is a great duo. I'm glad that y'all think so, because I find it like a lot of fun. Jimmy doesn't let you speak that much. Listen, that means that I get paid to sit there and look pretty. I'm not going to complain. I'm starting, and he kind of helps me train that skill of like, I need to jump in. But sometimes I'm like, he's clearly on a path. He's asking certain questions in a certain order. And I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and let him kind of do his thing. I like having a good cop, bad cop duo, and Lux and Jimmy give bad cop vibes, which is a good thing. So having a nice and polite co-host with like Josie works really well.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Jimmy and I both give bad cop vibes. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Because one time someone in the comments said that I play good cop when I'm with a cis host, and I play bad cop when I'm with a trans host. So that's really funny. I would say I try to balance whoever I'm with, right? Like, Riverboat Jack can be a little bit spicy, and so sometimes I'll be a little bit less spicy. And I especially also don't want to like interrupt my host too much. Like there's been several times, especially as I'm editing, and I'm like, you know, I'm having to consciously make space for Riverboat Jack because she wants to get in and make a comment, and I'm like, I'm steamrolling. Maybe it's just because she's a newer host, but oh my gosh, Billy again with a $50 donation says, as a person who has called into Jovan's stream, yes, I am indeed a special kind of stupid. Oh, that's funny. Oh, thank you very much. That's very, very kind of you. Very sweet. So that definitely pushes us up over $200 this donation stream. Oh my gosh, my YouTube page. Come back. Come back. I need to see you. Are you functional? Are you still here? Are we with us? Okay. I flexed earlier at the previous $100. So now that we've gotten to $200, I'll go get the cat. I'll go get the cat. By the way, y'all, just so you know, super chats are amazing. I don't actually receive them until like next month though, and YouTube takes like 30%. So if you're like, oh, I want to help Lux get groceries this week, because holy shit, I am so in the hole right now. I have spent so much money on, I just owed a bunch of taxes. I had to get my car all fixed up, plus all the gas and the hotels of like driving to Kansas and back. I am very in the hole as far as money goes. So if you want to help me get groceries like this week, donate directly at luxander.net/donate. But yes, I'm going to go get Mina. We're going to show off Mina. She is baby. Are you good, girl? Hi. Yeah. Do you see you over there? You see a kitty cat? She is a baby. Are you good, girl? Hmm? Sweet angel? How do you feel about Forrest's tendency to monologue without letting the co-host have a go? I think that's probably his main flaw. I mean, again, anytime I have a co-host who's like talking a lot, I'm like, cool. I'm gonna let them do that. But I also, again, it just teaches me like how do I assert myself. And I feel like I do a decent job of like interrupting Forrest or I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get my word in, and we both start talking at the same time, but then I continue talking, you know? Are you a sweet little girl? Are you a little baby? And I think that he's at least somewhat self-aware about it. He'll make jokes about it. Like, listen, if they were talking about abortion and he's got a female co-host, he's like, men are talking. And I'm like, okay, that's actually pretty funny. I don't worship anything but Mina is worthy of it. I know, isn't she so good? She's so good. Yeah. Oh, are you getting tired of it? Well, I'm sorry, but we're training you. We're training you, and sometimes that means you have to stay for a little bit longer than you want to stay. Yeah? Are you being conditioned? Are you being conditioned? Are you having all the fight removed? Are we breaking you like a horse? Hmm? You good girl.
Billy Sipes has
Oh my
donated
goodness.
$150. Living life and being awesome.
Thank you. Oh my god. Really appreciate that. Oh, good girl. Oh. I don't know if you could hear her, and then me immediately making fun of her. I put her down and she went, thank you, holy crap, Billy, for another $150. Welcome to Mina's Only Cats, true. So generous. Thank you so much. I am actually considering, I was not going to, but with getting my car fixed and everything else on top of the taxes, I was like, oh, maybe I should run a GoFundMe. But again, it's like, I can afford it. Like, I'll be able to recover. It's probably going to take me until the end of the summer, really, to be like, I'm recovered enough that I can start saving up money to go to like pay for taxes for next year. Like, that's the part that I'm a little bit worried about. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still just like, there is people who actually need money for healthcare and stuff. And I feel like after I did a really big GoFundMe to move out here, and it's only been a little over a year since that, I feel like I shouldn't run a GoFundMe for my taxes. I don't know. Maybe in a month I'll be like, yeah, this is harder to get out from under than I thought it was going to be. My dogs noticed Mina on the TV. They're being less aggressive than usual, though, and just boofed and walked away. Even the boys love Mina. See, she's a perfect little angel. She's the most perfect little angel who you've ever seen. And every time I go pick her up and bring her in here and then I put her down, she just chills. I put her down and she's like, okay, I'm in here now. I'm going to lick myself. Are you a good girl? She's like, I'm grooming. I'm very busy. Is Mina a good girl? Yeah, you are. You sweet angel. Pretty baby. Soft queen. She is incredibly soft. She looks soft. And she is soft. It's fine to need help, but what if I don't need the help? Like, what if I'm fine without the help? Unlike any god I've ever heard of, cats both exist and are worthy of worship. The ancient Egyptians had the right idea. My sister's cat, Joey, he looks like a stereotypical Egyptian cat. Like, he is so handsome. His, like, the tight, refined traits, and he's so long and lanky. Like, God, he's beautiful. Wish mine were that chill. Yeah, we lucked into this, having a cat who's, like, not violent about being picked up. She's a good girl. Our all of our other cats, we've kind of like,
Drea gave Mama underscore Mephistopheles a tier 2 subscription. 3
thank
month.
you. Thank you. Um, all of our previous cats, we raised from babies,
Drea
basically.
gave
Oh
Noah
my God.
Darkly Years a tier 2 subscription. Need less white in the chat.
That's true. There's a lot of white in the chat. That's true. We're doing a Mayo side. Drea is on her way to a Mayo side. Thank you for getting rid of those white names. They're the worst, truly. The white names in the chat. Thank you. That's so generous, you guys. Thank you so much. But yeah, cats are amazing. I love cats so much. I'm so glad I have one, you know?
Drea has donated $52. Gotta fill in the hole.
Gotta fill in the hole. That's true. I've stopped counting how much money we've received today. Like, I don't want to do that math right now. I'm assuming that the two tier 2 subs added up to $42. Or 48 and then 52 to balance it out. So thank you. Oh my gosh. Y'all are being so generous today. It makes me feel appreciated. Like y'all really missed me. So thank you. I I'm bad at doing gratitude, but thank you very much. I definitely feel it, and it's definitely going to make my life easier in an immediate sense because money me needing a lot now. Oh God. I've been fine in the past. I'm sure I'll be fine this time. It's actually like the opposite, Rupreem. Like I have done GoFundMe's in the past for situations where like I probably could have paid something off. Or no. Sorry. It's the opposite where like most of the time in the past when I've done GoFundMe's, it's been like, oh, it's because I need it. Like I will not be able to do this thing. And right now I'm like, yeah, but I can, like, I'm making a lot more money now. So I probably can like fix it in a few months. And that's the mindset that I'm in. Where I'll fix it, over the course of a few months. I'll be like smart, about saving money and everything. Careful with training cats. I trained my cats to give high fives, and now they manipulate me, putting their paws in the air. High fives for Scritches. True. I'm just a poor gal keeping to the pores. Yeah. That's very true. Transivity, hello. Also, hello, Dumbledore's Army, who said, I thought I had to suffer another Lux-free week. Pleasantly surprised. Yes, I'm back. For at least some kind of regularity. I guess I don't have any immediate plans to, like, change the upload schedule. So, you'll be seeing me at least the normal amount this month. The chances of us running into each other and becoming best friends is about to become 0. Are you moving out of the country? Oh, moving to Michigan in a couple weeks. So long, PNW. Wow. That's going to be a long trip. I think summertime is the best time to do it, right? Because we made our trip from Kansas down through New Mexico and up into Oregon in the winter, and that sucked. So, yeah, and then we doing this trip at, like, basically the height of spring, around May Day, Beltana, we left and came back and the blackberries are flowering, right? Like, so at the height of spring is basically a great time to travel across the country.
Faulty Branches gave Shakes underscore Bear a tier 2 subscription. Let's go.
Let's go. Hell yes. Thank you guys so much. How was hosting the line? I haven't hosted since Thursday, 2 weeks ago. And I don't remember. I think that show went well. I don't remember any specifics, but I'm going to be hosting tomorrow, which is exciting. Make sure that wasn't a text from Jimmy. No, that was not a text from Jimmy. I want to move to Michigan so bad. I have friends who live there. I have never been to Michigan, I don't think. I've been to Illinois. Is it similar to Illinois? It is good to be cared for. That's true. I will say, If it makes you feel better about it, it's probs more for Lux than you. um, what was I saying? Oh my god. I trained my ferrets to use their litter box. Sometimes they pretend to use it for treats. That's very funny. I want to get Mina those buttons. Oh, I was gonna say my partner like took really good care of me on our trip, and he was like, "Are you sure you want to drive?" Like, he assumed that I would feel too sick to drive, and then he was gonna do most of the driving, which I think is very sweet. Um, yeah, so I have never been to Michigan before, but I am assuming Michigan is to Illinois what Pennsylvania is to New York, in that they're very similar. I meant to call into the Takis show, hopefully while you, Arden, or Forrest were on, but I fall asleep every time Takis is on. I have an odd question about pronouns. Sure, yeah, I'm open to receiving that question here. We are taking fewer and fewer of those types of calls on the show. So, and Arden is not hosting at all right now. We indefinitely, not permanently, but until further notice, Arden is not hosting. She needed a break. But yeah, I can answer your question about pronouns. That would be cool. We're making the trip with 2 cats. Oof. So my note that I will give you, Dumbledore's Army: stay at La Quinta, because La Quinta has a very consistently good pet policy. And then you can bring your cats into the hotel room at La Quinta and let your cats wander in the room. Like, we kind of saved our asses a couple times with La Quintas. Like, I had chosen a hotel and I didn't check their pet policy, or maybe their pet policy was like, yeah, we accept pets, but then you actually get there and they're like, yeah, but only if it's a dog. You can't actually have a cat in the room, which felt like such bullshit. But stay at La Quinta. Gotta go attend a DSA meeting. Take care. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I have not yet made the choice to be active in DSA, although I'm pretty sure that there are DSA. I mean, of course, when it's Portland, there's DSA groups. I know that there's also like a communist party that is active. I saw them at Pride. Oh, my chat. Need to change the chat. Okay, there we go. I know there's a communist party that's active in Oregon as well, and I just haven't gotten politically active in that way. But shit, maybe that's how I need to make friends, because I still haven't really made any like local friends. That is an area where I'm kind of failing in my goals. OMG, my sister got back from her Coven's Bieltana, and that's how I remembered to post in the Discord that day, but obviously your celebration was not like theirs. I don't actually know. I didn't get to ask the bride at the wedding, like, if she intended to get married on Bieltana on a full moon. She's a genius if that was intentional. I don't know if it was intentional, though, because I don't know if she's into that witchy shit. But, yeah. Honestly, I got to even though it wasn't like the way that I would like to celebrate Beltane, we still celebrated Beltane in like the way that is true to the holiday. I went to a wedding. I ate delicious food. We celebrated like love and union. Like that is what you're supposed to do on Beltane. So yeah, it was awesome. I looked at a socialist party here in Portland, but was really underwhelmed. It was a lot of metaphysical talk and not much action. Okay. I am a trans woman, and I met this really cool non-binary person who I have a crush on, but I asked this person their pronouns, and they said, oh, I don't have personal pronouns. All pronouns misgender me, but they/it misgender me the least, and I'm just not sure how to wrap my brain around the concept of not having pronouns. Some people just prefer if you only use their name. Like, my friend Dizzy accepts the use of they them pronouns to some extent, but is definitely most comfortable when people just refer to Dizzy as Dizzy, you know? And of course that takes a little bit of extra work because pronouns fit so naturally into our speech, and, you know, Dizzy is not like, I'm gonna get mad at you for misgendering me if you use they them pronouns. But yeah, it's one of those things like, prefer if you just use the name. And so yeah, I get it. I don't personally relate to that. That's not my vibe of just like avoid pronouns entirely, but it's tricky and it's sticky, and if you're feeling like a complicated relationship with all of them, then I can kind of understand being like, I just want to avoid this problem entirely. And like, there is an idea of what a they is, which is why for a while I was like, I feel disaffected from they them pronouns and I want to go by it's almost exclusively. And yeah, so I can kind of see that aspect of it as well, that there are stereotypes and other gendered expectations that are getting applied to even the what is supposed to be gender neutral language in English. I've tried to join local progressive movements, and they are unfortunately transphobic or okay with their members being transphobic to other members. Yeah, that's a pain in the ass. That's a pain. I want to join the DSA sometime, help get more of all the groups in our state building in that coalition direction. Yeah. Just want to do stuff in the community. I want to like make friends around shared interests and stuff. I'm rewatching Andor again, pretending that is a political movement. Listen, you gotta be careful not to indulge that too much, I would say. You know, don't let watching TV fulfill or be a substitute for being an active member of your community. I feel so bad because I can't even remember its name, so I feel a little bad that I can't just refer to them by name. I feel like I should at least know my crush's name. That would definitely be helpful if you want to pursue that relationship further. Are there gender-neutral washrooms in your town? We have some in Chicago, one of my favorite spaces being a bar arcade with them. I mostly don't see gender-neutral bathrooms. I mean, I guess I haven't, like, been in the heart of Portland very much. But Oregon just has a use whatever bathroom you want to kind of policy. You can do a super chat if you want, but I do read the chat. I'm at a point where I can't read every single comment or question, and so super chatting can help boost it to your attention, or I would say directly donating on the website can also help boost it to my attention, but you don't have to pay me to ask a question. But yeah, so I think the only really gender neutral restrooms that I see in Oregon are the ones that's like, okay, that's a disabled bathroom, right? It's the one that you go to if you need the accommodation. And it's like a single stall bathroom. But it's like Oregon has a I don't give a shit, use whatever bathroom you want policy. So I don't really have to think about it that much in public most of the time. Yes, YouTube takes a cut of between 30 to 40% of every super chat, and I don't receive super chats until I get my ad payout next month. So if you super chat today, I'm only going to get 70% of it, and I won't get it until late June. So donating on the website is the best, most direct way, for sure. And then I've also got Patreon. You know, that's an option as well if you want to see pictures of my cat and stuff. You can't be progressive and transphobic. Bad on them. Yes, I agree with that. But it's like, everybody's on a journey, you know? And like, everybody is deconstructing different beliefs, right? And like, obviously there's going to be people who are like, I have been directly affected by bad economic conditions, right? So maybe they get more, involved because of the economic conditions changing. They're like, well, shit, now I can't afford healthcare. And like, you know, there are lots of people who are like politically ambivalent or who know very little about trans people. And so they've just absorbed some transphobic ideas. So, like, a person might be new to our movement and not aware of the nuances of our social things, right? So, I do think that it's important to give people a certain amount of leeway if we're trying to accomplish something together, right? Like, if you're trying to tackle a problem like homelessness in your communities, which is a huge problem in Portland and throughout the whole valley, as far as I can tell, there is a need for us to make moves on that, right? So if you are a person who uses they, them pronouns and you go try to volunteer serving food to homeless folks and you meet someone there who is one of those, like, I don't really give a shit about pronouns, like, and you try to correct them and they're like, whatever. If you, like, is that going to be all it takes for you to stop helping people in your community? Is that all it's going to take to stop you from trying to make your world a better place? Is that going to be a focal point for conflict for you? Or is that going to be a moment where you're like, I can educate this person? Or if I establish a relationship with this person and they come to care about me, maybe they'll be more likely to like listen to what I have to say about this. Or maybe you have to challenge some, like, maybe you're white and the other volunteer is white and they say something racist and you use that moment to like call them in and be like, look, we are trying to help people and it's our responsibility to leave that kind of shit at the door, So like, I really think we do need to have a certain level of tolerance for people who are not overtly hateful. Like, I'm not insane. I'm not saying like this person is violently threatening you or they're being violent about trans people and then you should come out and like explain it to them and be like, well, let's be friends. I'm not trying to insinuate anything like that. I'm just saying that like there is like a spectrum of shitty beliefs. And I think that if we do want the world to get better, we can't just cut off people who disagree with us. I'm not like, whatever. You don't have to talk to your parents or whatever. I'm not telling you what to do. But like, where are you best situated to combat racism? You have to like do something in your community. Well, then you might run into somebody who is like a black activist who's transphobic and you'll have to figure out a way to make that work. Or, maybe you do challenge the racism in your white family or whatever. Like, because the thing is that there is a huge machine churning that is converting normal people to being radical right-wingers and antisocial and, antisocial is kind of the best way to put it, I guess. So I think so long as that's happening, we do have to exert a certain amount of willingness to be like in a constant type of deconstruction with these people. And, whatever, take breaks, take 2 weeks off, whatever, do it in a controlled fashion. I have my show, obviously, like we do the line and I talk to people and I'm trying to convert people on that platform, but you can also make a difference interpersonally. If you are trans and people can't tell that you're trans, and you go and you do good work in your community and you help people, and then as you get to know the folks, you're like, yeah, I'm transgender, whatever. That will help them break down their anti-trans beliefs because they're like, oh, I've heard that trans people are all like weird perverts and they're constantly doing weird sex stuff and it's all in your face about it. And so if you're like, yeah, I'm here and I'm doing my stuff and I'm trans and I'm trying to help people, that is going to make a difference. And if you're like, ooh, this person said something transphobic, I'm going to now end this relationship or end my contribution to whatever mutual aid thing you're working on together, then yeah, I don't see how we're going to make any progress. And I don't know how, it's like, I hope that I'm communicating this delicately. I'm not saying that every person has to be an activist at all times. But I am saying that we are not going to improve the world that we live in if we abdicate responsibility for making it a better world. Does that make sense? Javon pulled me to being a socialist, and I know the end game is communism, but I still can't envision the world without a quote state. Yeah, I had Forrest asked me like what my political identity label is, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like I hear people say like, oh, I won't identify as a whatever because that's not realistic, and I'm like, well, what the fuck are these labels even for? So it's like, I like obviously it's easily I will call myself a socialist because it's like that's just our current system, but like reworked to be serving people's individual needs. But like eventually, I think that the global economy is going to collapse and that communal living is going to be the thing that we have to default to. So like I'm a communist, but like also I like the idea of justified hierarchies that resist the kind of things where people like seek power and they hold on to power. So I'm like an anarcho-communist, I guess. So yeah, I guess like anarcho-communist or anarchist or communist or socialist or any of those words, if you're using them correctly, could apply to my belief system. Finally home and taking the boots off. Fuck yeah. The progressive movement that Dizzy tried to join said, Dizzy says, they accept non-MAGA, quote, progressive Republicans and such, but they're the only one in my town, and I just can't travel an hour to and from with my body the way it is. If it was just civil misgendering, I'd be okay, but this person started a fight, as in they had to be held back with someone because they corrected them when they misgendered them in a really nasty way. And leadership did nothing. They backed up that we shouldn't correct her. I used to work as a case manager. I had parents, teachers, therapists, and kids calling me all the names in the book, hitting me, attacking me, puking on me on purpose. I get it. Oh man, that's fucking rough. Shakespeare says, it never mattered what people said. I did the work and helped people out, even if they said mean things or treated me poorly. Yeah. Mephi says, I'm a social worker helping homeless folks. There's a lot of passive transphobia and weird shit people say to me, and I still help them. Yeah. It takes a special kind of person to be willing and able to do that kind of work. And I'm not saying that I'm cut out for it, like, so maybe I shouldn't be making critiques like that, but I'm just, any kind of situation where you're working with people, you're trying to convince people to vote for the person that you want them to vote for, anything like that, which I'm considering, like, maybe I should like volunteer for some campaign near me, because we're hitting that season where it's like, primary season and then general election later this year. Like, maybe I should try to phone bank or something. I pitched to Jimmy, I was like, what if we explored a potential partnership with Progressive Victory, like Between the Line and Progressive Victory? And I don't know if that's borne out anything. I'm just telling you, I suggested it. It was on the table as an idea. So I'm like, yeah, what if we just try to get some people voting? If we want to sway elections, then why don't we use this infrastructure that Progressive Victory has built to help push people into, like, actually helping sway elections? I canvassed for Susan Crawford last year. Hell yeah, I don't remember who Susan Crawford is, but I'm glad that you participated. It's hard to be disabled and trans because a lot of people in my family have tried to convince me that I'm only trans because I have brain damage, even though I came out as trans before the brain damage. That's fucked up, Transivity. Sorry that your family is being shithole. The Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice. Oh, I think I was helping Progressive Victory during that time. Yeah, when they were trying to get, there was like the Supreme Court justice that was up for a vote, and she was the one voter. Like getting her on the Supreme Court means that abortion was protected in Wisconsin, right? Like that was the major thing. Or maybe I'm thinking of a more recent one. Or maybe I'm thinking of an older one, and Susan Crawford was a more recent example. Homer has got some questions. 19 years old, autistic, assigned male at birth. Growing up, I felt very alienated from other boys. Now I'm an adult, feel very aligned with the identity of man. I get euphoria from being seen as a man, but I think I'm also non-binary or agender, as well as relating to the terms trigender, fluid, etc. Can I be a non-binary man? You can be a non-binary man. I have known several men who describe themselves as non-binary men. Can you be non-binary while using the social term man? You can use whatever words make your life easier, babe. Also, would I be trans or cis? I call myself trans adjacent, but IDK. So this is kind of one of those little gray areas where, you know, I think of trans as like either you identify with the gender you were assigned or you don't. So even if you're non-binary, then you don't, right? But if you partially identify with the gender, then that kind of blurs the line between cis and trans, right? So it's up to you, babe. Like, I would say, you know, if you're like, I'm a non-binary man, or if you say like, I'm a gender, but I occupy a man social role, right? I have several non-binary friends who just still look like men, and even they use he, him pronouns to some extent. Yeah. I would say, you know, if you were to enter trans spaces, it would be polite to take a more listening role in that situation. But I don't think that you should not be allowed to be there. You know what I mean? It's like, I think when you're in that area where you're like, I'm still basically comfortable identifying or like looking the way that I was assigned at birth, and I don't want or need any kind of transition, then like, you know, I can understand a feeling that people who are more visibly trans might be like, I prefer that person not take up a huge amount of space. And like, maybe that's problematic of me. But, I mean, especially, you know, maybe problematic for me because I have gone back into a place where I look a lot like my assigned gender at birth, but like, I still don't identify as it. But I did transition physically, and I want to transition more in the future. So maybe I am the type of trans person that's like, we don't want you speaking for us. But I've been out here for 15 fucking years. So it's definitely like, I'm not going to be less visible and articulate about the issues at this time. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, if you want to call yourself a non-binary man, I think that's fine. And if you are a non-binary man, then you kind of are trans. And also you are helping us define that there is no such thing as a true binary. And even between cis and trans, there is a level of gray area. How do we feel about the Skinwalker Alex Jones being replaced with the Onion Alex Jones? The whole situation's very funny. I don't know any details about it, but I do think it's very funny. Hi, pretty girl. What are you doing? Hi. Hi. How you doing? I heard you. I heard you. You good girl? Yeah. Is your friend gonna be home soon? Yeah. She's a good girl. What do you think of someone who uses neopronouns like king/lord, not in their usual royal sense, but purely as grammatical substitutes similar to other neopronouns? Cafe, I'm gonna look at that person and I'm gonna squint and I'm gonna be like, are you a fucking troll? That's gonna be my first and primary reaction to that person. Anarcho-pacifist here, I feel like those words don't belong together, but I'm proud of you. I'm aware that anarchy is a long-term goal and a better world is possible. We just need to work towards it. Yeah. I have a written code of cis conduct for my trans focused parties and events. Wait, is that like you're not allowed to say or do certain things at these events? Like, I want to know what the deal. I want to know what. Give me one or two examples of the things that are on the list, please. While you're doing that, I'm gonna pee everywhere, so I'm gonna go to the bathroom before that happens, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. She wants to play now. You want to play? You attacking my feet? You chasing me around? Yeah? You chase me? She's a good girl. uh, just don't partner with the Young Turks. God, those people suck now. Fucking don't I know it. I got a soda. Ooh. Yeah. Yummy, yummy. Delicious. The Code of Cis Conduct. 1. All trans identities are authentic. Ask what pronouns to use if unsure. Just apologize if you accidentally misgender someone. Any attempts to debate this will be met with the door. Good rule number 1. 2. Zero tolerance toward fetishists and chasers. We are not a curiosity or box to tick. We are not a category. We are not here to educate you or facilitate your personal growth. This is a celebration of self-expression, our moment of total freedom to be ourselves. Please honor that. Yeah. Those are cool. Delicious. Listen, if you have a hard time drinking enough water, zero sugar soda, actually pretty good. Like, you get the spiciness of the carbonation, you get like the sugary type flavor, except that there's no sugar in it. So the only thing you're getting is a slightly increased chance of dementia. A proper code of conduct should alienate people who cannot abide by it. Yeah, that's the idea, right? I also feel, Homer, I feel like trans adjacent is fair enough. If you're like, yeah, I'm trans adjacent, I could understand hedging it like that. Yeah. Just learn to love water, shake my hands, shake my head, my hands. I put lemon in my water, you know. But you gotta have a variety. This is the thing. I can't just drink straight water all the time. I might have like ice water sometimes, or like lemon water most of the time, really. Or like zero sugar sodas, tea sometimes, coffee sometimes. It's variety is essential. It's essential. I'd like to be in a state of quantum hydration, but that would make it difficult to socialize. That's true. Rule 3 on the code of cis conduct. Are you a good girl? Are you okay? Oh, you stare at me? Hello. She wants me to chase her and play with her. Should I post videos on my Patreon of her playing? Because she plays kind of rough and she likes to bite. Would people find that funny? If I get one of those camera rigs where it straps the camera, you can like stick your phone and it's like strapped to your chest. And then I were to like play with her and roughhouse with her. Would you guys pay $3 a month to see like videos like that? How is the water where you are? I feel like it's okay. It's supposed to be softer in Oregon than it is in Kansas. So I'm like supposed to be like, I don't need to put as much shit in my hair to help it deal with hard water and stuff. I am about to do a kind of big cut of my hair, you guys, because it's been tangling a lot, and I realized that I haven't even trimmed it in like almost 2 years, I want to say. In like almost 2 years. So I'm about to cut like 4 inches off my hair. I'm about to cut like probably at least this much of my hair off. Because especially in the back here, I keep getting tangles, and I think that the part of the reason why it looks so dry all the time is because I just have a lot of split ends. I am honestly really unhappy with the state of my hair right now. I feel like I'm trying to get it to curl and it won't, and I'm using products that you're supposed to use for curly hair, but maybe that there's too much protein, and maybe my hair just doesn't like protein. But yeah, I'm about to just chop like at least 4 inches of my hair off, which sucks because I feel like it's really... But it's like, I also feel like it's terminally like, it's not getting longer, and I want it to get longer. And so I think I just have to trim it to get it to be healthy again. Okay, I was reading zero tolerance towards slurs. Keep those words out of your mouth. Please educate yourself on what are outdated / offensive terms to avoid any uncomfortable moments. Excuse me. If you have an established relationship dynamic that allows for this, please refrain while at this space. Rule number 4, be cool. You are welcomed in our space. It is a privilege, and we would hate to bar single cis folk from allure. Be yourself and join in our celebration. If you are considering this venue, chances are you, quote, get it. Safety for our community is our #1 priority. I love that. Low porosity hair usually doesn't need protein heavy hair product, as far as I know. Wait, okay. Hold on. What is low porosity hair? Because I feel like my hair gets wet really fast, but it does take a really long time to dry. So does that mean I have low porosity hair? Prone to dryness because moisture cannot easily penetrate the hair shaft. I guess I don't know what it means for it to take a long time. I feel like my hair gets wet immediately, but maybe it doesn't. Like, maybe there's a difference between like water being all over my hair versus it. Like, how do you know when your hair is wet? How do you know if you have low porosity hair? Because, yeah, my hair takes fucking ever to dry. Kitty cam FPV collar for the cat. Yeah. It's Dormy You. What's up? That 4 rules is an additional set of is an additional code of conduct for our cis guests specifically. And if they don't like it, they don't have to be there. Yeah, that's fair. High porosity dries faster and is frizzier. Okay. Okay. Hair has a terminal length. Once it hits that length, it sheds. That's why long-haired people shed a lot. Everyone's hair length is different. I don't actually know that that is the case. Like, I was under the impression that it's basically like, well, okay, yes, to some degree it sheds, but that there are a lot of factors that can influence that, right? So, like, first of all, your hair may appear to be getting shorter and shorter because it's breaking. And if you do keep your ends trimmed, then, like, your hair falls out at different lengths, or, like, at different times based on how stressed you are, or, like, what else you have going on in your life, and, like, whether you're getting the right moisture and everything, and, you know, are you, like, brushing your hair in a way that's ripping your hair out and stuff. Like, I don't actually know if I believe in the terminal hair length thing anymore. But I don't know if there's, like, any studies on this, like, any actual scientific studies on it. Just got off work and I'm so surprised you're still streaming. It's only been 2.5 hours. I start at 2 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays. So, and we typically go for 3. So I am reaching that point where I'm like, yeah, I'll be wrapping up soon. There are studies about terminal hair length. Okay, I accept. I'm not going to argue with the studies. Homer has another question. In one of the Line episodes with Jimmy, I thought I heard you and him say that you are autistic. Do you think there's correlation between gender and sexual diversity and being autistic? I feel like it's something to do with us loving stuff like Pokemon or cryptids. There's so much you can explore and collect, like labels to experiences that are unconventional. So the connection that I see between being autistic and being trans is basically just that, like, probably gender dysphoria happens in a greater portion of the population than we are currently seeing act on it. I just think that autistic people are more likely to be like, but what reason is there for me not to pursue this? And also, like, autistic people are more likely to be in therapy in the first place. So they're more likely to be in an environment that could help them point those things out and figure out why, like, where their discomfort is coming from. So just the fact that those people are already in treatment potentially. But yeah, I genuinely just think it's like autistic people are just like, I don't give a fuck about your stupid social rules. And if there isn't a good reason for a social rule, you know, like autistics, sometimes people consider autistics to be morally rigid. And it's like, there are rules that make sense, okay? Every single rule I was taught with how to correctly install electrical wiring, almost every single one of those rules is built on an actual safety thing where people got hurt. And so we improve the technology and then we make it a requirement to install that. And, you know, sometimes that catches you in a bad situation because, like, the person can't afford to replace with an AFCI breaker instead of a regular breaker, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There are some bureaucratic reasons, right? But the majority of the rules about how to correctly install electrical wiring are based in actual safety needs. Therefore, I had a really hard time working as an electrician when, like, in practice, you cut corners sometimes in ways that's like, maybe that wouldn't compromise safety, but maybe it would. So yeah, I think that autistics are like, there are rules that make sense. And once you teach me the reason for the rule, I will adhere to it because the underlying principle is something that I really care about, like safety. Or you give me a bunch of dumb fucking rules that don't make any sense and they're increasingly arbitrary, like regarding gender. And if you have this, even if you have the same amount of gender dysphoria in autistics versus non-autistics, I think that autistics are more likely to just be like, yeah, fuck it. Like, I don't care about the, later, Drea, thank you so much. Have a good night. So I don't think that, like, gender dysphoria is more common in autistics per se, or I haven't seen anything that specifically indicates that. I think it's likely that gender dysphoria is happening at similar rates and that autistic people are just more likely to pursue that. I would be happy to be corrected if there are you know, if there is like updated information on that at some point, if we do specifically study it. But I don't think that there is like any, I don't know too though, because there's like so much overlap with like autism and EDS and autism and EDS and being trans or queer. So it's like there could be some kind of gene affiliated with it if there is like, okay, so like the incredible crossover between autism and EDS does make it sound like there is some kind of genetic thing going on there. Erica just mentioned on Skep Talk last week or this week, Jesus Christ, I'm fucking losing my mind. On Monday, Erica said that there is speculation that autism, like the people who are autistic might have a slightly greater percentage of Neanderthal DNA, and therefore autism is just like how Neanderthal brains worked. So if there was also like, if we looked into that and it was like, okay, there is a genetic component where people with a high percentage of Neanderthal DNA have autism, and there's lots of people with autism who have connective tissue disorders. So it's like, is it just our Neanderthal DNA that's kind of giving us both of these things? And maybe that aspect of the Neanderthal DNA, like maybe their sexual dimorphism was even less rigid than ours. I don't know very much about Neanderthals, but it's possible that like maybe their like the way that they evolved to deal with sex and gender was just more fluid. So like I'm kind of just opening a roadway to here where like there could be a genetic component, but I think in all likelihood it is more just like autistic people don't give a shit about social rules that don't make any sense and are more willing to transgress those kind of norms if it ends up ultimately making them happy. Dormy suggests autistic people are more likely to heavily commit to transition and more likely to hyper-focus on the dysphoria. Yeah, like maybe as far as like all of the sensations that you have to learn to ignore as an autistic person, maybe dysphoria is just really, really hard to ignore. Like maybe it's like overstimulating basically. And with everything else that your brain is having to filter out all day long, like maybe gender dysphoria is just an aspect that is really hard to avoid dealing with if you're like overstimulated by the way that your body hair grows and it's causing you to focus a lot on the gender dysphoria. Like I could see that being an applicable situation. I know that our ancestors thought Neanderthals were sexy. That's about all I know. Yeah. Neanderthals were known for being a little more creative, but largely they were socially behind. Okay. I have pathological demand avoidance autism, so I just do something different from when everyone, or even myself once. I decided to transition November 6th, 2024, because Trump got elected. That's how pathological demand avoidant my autism is. That's funny. Excuse me. I'm trans neurodivergent with HEDS here, as is my only sibling. I would love to understand those connections. Yeah, I'm so excited because I'm finally gonna get like my mental health evaluation stuff started this week actually, and see about getting, you know, either a stimulant or a non-stimulant medication for my ADHD. And that was like the other major thing that my doctor was like, I want you to handle that before I see you next. So I'm gonna handle that this week. I'm having like a pelvic exam or whatever coming up soon. But then like once I get my mental health thing done this week, I can then make an appointment to go physically see my doctor and get evaluated for connective tissue disorder. I'm pretty sure that I don't have enough points to get HEDS diagnosis. But I know that I have a lot of other signs. Like they don't include a lot of stuff on the Baton score that's like, you know, hyperextensive in your neck. Like I can bend my neck all the way backwards and all the way forwards. And like I've got other kinds of flexibility in my hands and stuff that's like this, like looking at the individual fingers and stuff is not on the Baton score It's only very specifically like, if can you bring your finger up and have it be like 90 degrees or more on a flat surface? And like, yeah, I kind of can do that. Um, or like the touching your thumb to your hand, like I can do that on the left side or really close on the left side. Oh, there it is. But yeah, so, and like other stuff, like I have stretch marks all over my body in weird places that I shouldn't have them. Like I weigh like 160-ish right now, and that's the most I've ever weighed. And I'm not short, so that is like not an unhealthy amount of weight. And I should not have as many stretch marks as I do. And also, like, every time I get local anesthesia, I need a little bit more than they typically give. Like, they numbed me up to do a tooth extraction, and then a little while after they injected me, they started poking around to see if I could feel stuff, and I could still feel stuff. And the same thing when I got my Nexplanon put in my arm, I had to get extra. So I'm like, all of these different things. So yeah, I'm going to have like hopefully a fully comprehensive discussion with my doctor and hopefully get diagnosed. I don't know how that's going to help me exactly. Maybe it'll get me physical therapy. But yeah, I'm excited to at least have some fucking answers. I'm going to go have a nap because my head hurts from wearing headphones. Yeah, I personally can't do headphones. I totally feel you. I get like these little kinds of in-ear earbuds and stuff because I fucking hate having the things over my ears. It's not comfortable. I wonder if that's why my Nexplanon implant hurt so bad for so long and swelled so bad. I couldn't say whether that was related. I was undiagnosed with connective tissue disorder recently. Wait, what? Did you have the diagnosis and then you got it removed because it was inaccurate? What happened? But no, when I got my Nexplanon, it's just that they numbed the area and then they waited a little bit and then they were like, okay, we're going to go ahead and probe you with something sharp and see if you can still feel it. And I was like, yeah, I can still feel it a little bit. So they had to give me more juice, which is like, that's a thing apparently with you have connective tissue disorders that like the anesthetic like bleeds away from the area that you actually need it to be in. So you have to get a little bit extra juice in that particular spot for there to be a high enough saturation for it to fully dampen your nerve endings. I don't know. Starch marks, yeah. Yummy juice. Apparently, it takes a lot of patience and a fair bit of luck here in the UK to find the right healthcare professional that knows EDS well and gets the situation we're in. Yeah, I feel pretty confident that the doctor that I have, like the specific kind of doctor that she is, I finally settled on like a doctor after I moved up here and had to try out like a couple different ones. Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be good. I wake up during anesthesia and I am absolutely cursed knowing that I do. Yeah, that's rough. I've never gone under general anesthesia and I don't want to wake up. That would be terrible. I was tentatively diagnosed about 20 years ago with a connective tissue disorder before there were more conclusive genetic tests available. They do exist now, and I'm undergoing some investigations around what is going on with my freaky weird hands. Man, having hands that are weird is the worst. I don't think I really should be going bowling. Just using the ball at the place. Because, like, okay, so my partner got a bowling ball. and it's designed so that your hand is like open as much as it can be, and then your fingers fit into the silicone, and this like it's like tight on your finger, right? When you guys go to the bowling alley and you just use a house ball, there are gaping holes, right? But when you get your own bowling ball, they put a silicone thing into the gaping holes, and they shouldn't be gaping, like they should be smaller if your hands are smaller. And it's like your fingers fit just inside of the bowling ball, and it gets held in there so that when you are moving the ball through the air, you are not having to grasp the ball, like grip the ball. And like when every single time I go bowling, my hand hurts because I'm like squeezing the ball so that I don't accidentally let it go at any time during the like swing. So yeah, it sucks having weird hands. That's part of why I got this hand squeezer thing, because I'm like, can I sort of strengthen the tendons in my hand by using one of these squeezers? I got an adjustable one. Look at it. You like twist this and it makes it tighter or looser so that you can increase the amount of like weight that you're squeezing. So yeah, I'm like trying to help my hands as much as I can. But it's like, yeah, I'm like, if you have a connective tissue disorder, you might just have fucked up hands. It's like, that's so frustrating. Excuse me. I don't even think my doctor plans on doing a genetic test for connective tissue stuff, which kind of sucks because I'm like, what if I have Marfan's or like vascular EDS? I don't want to die unexpectedly, I guess. But we're going to at least go through some of the physical examination parts. Like, look at my crazy elbows. I got crazy elbows. Ooh, when I was in a bowling league, I had a ball that didn't have a thumb hole in it, so I could put spin on the ball more effectively. That's fun. What's something that made you smile today? I don't know. I mean, I've smiled during stream, but I don't think I actually... I'm like looking through the memes. Did my partner send me a meme that made me laugh? No, not today at least. Okay, so maybe this is an autism thing, but like I definitely get amused but don't laugh pretty frequently. I'm like, haha. And internally I'm like, Lamau, that's really funny, but externally I'm just like, haha, you know? So I feel like I've laughed and like smiled a lot over the past week though, so we're doing good. I had my own bowling shoes and was the most improved player. I had no choice but to get my own bowling shoes if we were going to go bowling because the fucking leather shoes are so hot. It was impossible. Literally have a bigger pinky finger joint from inflammation from racket sports in the past. Oh no! I want to do a DNA test to find out my Neanderthal and Denisovian percentage, but I don't want someone else owning my DNA, truly. Yeah, I think about this a lot in terms of, like, the racial construction of whiteness and the fact that, like, my ancestors being, like, I guess from Europe and coming over here, oh boy, I lost my train of thought. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Yeah, whiteness and DNA. So, like, I want to kind of know what my family history is and, like, what my ethnicity is. I do not know my ethnicity. I functionally do not have an ethnicity. Like, I have a white friend who, her family is Polish, and she, like, has her great-grandmother's recipe for pierogies, right? There is, like, a culture that she has as a white person that I do not have access to. You know, allegedly someone in my family was like a train robber, like one of the famous train robbers. Like, okay, cool. Like that's not my ethnicity. And that's like, you know, one of those stories. It's like, oh, I don't even know if this is true. Am I actually related to fucking, I can't even remember any of their names right now. Like any of the famous, or even maybe like semi-famous, like maybe only famous locally, like, oh, this guy did a heist one time kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm completely cut off from any knowledge of my ethnicity. And like my partner is white, but he gets brown in the sun, whereas I burn in the sun. Like, it takes quite a bit for me to get tan. I don't really get tan. My partner does. So it's like, is he Italian or something? Like, we don't know. And I'm not willing to sell my fucking DNA to some company. My brother traced our family tree back 5 generations. I'm super Irish, like 90%-ish. I would be willing to maybe pay, like a genealogist, like a company that does your immediate family history and like finds those connections for you. I feel like I would be willing to do that more than I would be willing to give my DNA to someone. And that might only be accurate up to a couple generations. That maybe doesn't even tie me all the way back to Europe, because like I said, like, if my family is like, oh, back in the Wild West or whatever, then okay, that's like already multiple generations of at least one aspect of my family that's been in America since like maybe early in America's days, right? What can they do with your DNA? The police can subpoena it. So like, I've never committed a crime that I've needed to log my DNA or my fingerprints, right? But if you are suspected of a crime, like, let's say if you go to a protest and the activities of that protest are illegalized while you are there, like they declare a curfew and then they start beating people back and you are now in violation of the curfew, then like, or if they suspect that you were there, they could subpoena those companies and get your information. And so it's the fact that they work with law enforcement, to my understanding, is the reason why I don't want to sell my DNA to one of these fucking companies. I had family stories of indigenous slaves on shipyards meeting ship workers and falling in love, but I have next to no indigenous DNA. Yeah. I had to pay for a private genetic test. I'm not thrilled about it, but I'm glad at least I know I don't have certain cardio risks. Sure, yeah, that's fair. My phone just made a noise, and I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing, weirdo? It's fucked that Palantir is trying to get its clutches into the NHS and its data now, though. Yeah, unsurprising that they're doing that. As a Cajun, so much of this I feel. We have our cuisine, but the state did a good job quashing our language. Circumstance and modernity took the way of life. Yeah. I feel like in Louisiana, you at least have a better idea, right? Like, you're like, probably I'm French. Or like some kind of, like, in all likelihood that's the area that's hitting you. And I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, I have a very pointy English nose, but I know that at least one of my family members' last names is like, that's probably German, but I don't fucking know. And it's so frustrating. It's wild to me that we can trace certain specific health things back to like famines, but it's treated as a surprise as if history didn't happen. Or you're thinking of something real specific there, and I'm not sure what that specific thing is that you're thinking about. Like, did the Irish potato famine leave like genetic markers on people multiple generations down? I don't know. I think you're Scottish, Emma, but like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, the Irish potato famine is like the famous one, you know? My family history and tree directly traces to the Acadians, what got ethnically cleansed by the Brits. Okay. Hemochromatosis. Okay, so there is like, that is a lasting impact of a famine that happened in previous generations, not just Ireland, India too. Okay. I recently read something that the city of New Orleans is going to be underwater within the next 10 years. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that certainly the coastline of Louisiana has changed enough now that it does not match the maps anymore. Current coastlines in Louisiana. Louisiana's shrinking coast offers a narrowing window for managed retreat. Louisiana is losing its coast. This is just from yale.edu. Louisiana is losing its coast faster than anywhere else in the U.S. What happens next could become a blueprint or a warning for vulnerable communities around the globe. Let me see if there's any pictures in here. I want to just kind of scroll through real fast. Nope, this one doesn't have any pictures. But if you think about the fact that the center of the United States used to be a big fuck-off sea, like there used to be like a miniature ocean here. Jesus Christ, I'm on the West Coast now. There used to be a lot of ocean in the Kansas area, and if you think about like that Louisiana is like the connection point with the Gulf and Louisiana, and then like getting into the Midwest, then it would make sense. I think that a lot of Louisiana is actually below sea level. Like a lot of the inland parts of Louisiana. So like when water comes into Louisiana, it like stays there. Like flooding is kind of weird there for that reason, I think. Quote, real maps of Louisiana are scary compared to what people are used to thinking of what the coastline looks like. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can get some pictures. Pictures of coastline changes in Louisiana. Goes to sleep in a box. Have a good night. Thank you for hanging out with us. I'm almost done here, so... My dad went on a huge genealogy kick years ago and traced both sides back as far as possible, which is way more interesting than some percentages from a DNA test. Confirmed stories and even reconnected with some branches of family that were split from deaths and divorces. That's cool. That's neat. I'm having a hard time seeing what I'm looking at here. My Grampy did that as his retirement hobby. That's fun. Okay, cool. So here's a good one. Here, I'll zoom this in a little bit. See if I can... I have my work keyboard on top of my regular keyboard right now. So here is a depiction. This over on the left is how Louisiana is usually shown on maps versus on the right, how it would look if maps depicted only the solid land. So, yeah, like that's at least one part of the difference in this situation. And like up here, I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at between these two images. Like this is from 1985. And I'm like, okay, this all looks like, that's water to me. All up in here is like, is that water or is that beaches? Like maybe that's beach. Maybe is all of that beach? And then we scroll down to here and that's the same coastline. Okay, and I guess I'm clearly seeing like these are like little islands basically. The previous coastline, but that's like what they look like here too. They just look like little islands. It just looks like the water is dirtier here. Or is this water up here? Is like water encroaching all the way up here? And previously the water only encroached as far up as this right here? And now it's like way the fuck up there? I guess this part is more clearly like, okay, this is kind of like swampish looking here. And then in here it's just like, oh, that's just straight up wet. All of it, that's just straight up wet. Louisiana used to have the delta of the Mississippi River constantly depositing silt, making some give and take between erosion and new land. But in the early 20th century, there was the Great Flood of the Mississippi River and the construction of the modern levee system This, along with pipeline construction leading to freshwater grasses being exposed to saltwater, has led to rapid deterioration of the coastline. Yeah. So, yeah, it's getting crazy down there in Louisiana. This is all what happens when an ecologically vulnerable state sells its soul to oil companies. Yay! And on that very positive note, get together with your local communities and go to town hall meetings and stuff, because the local shit, like, you do have at least some control over. And you can show up at people's houses and protest if they do the wrong thing after listening to person after person after person in their community beg for them to not build another fucking data center. These people have addresses, and you can protest peacefully in a way that is impossible for them to ignore. Yeah. So anyway, that's going to be all from me today. I'm going to dip out of here. Tomorrow is going to be a long fucking day. I'm on Takis, and then I'm on Calling It Now. So I'll ping y'all in the Discord for that tomorrow. If you're not already a member of the Discord, there's links on the website and in the description on the YouTube page. If you're interested in getting me a gift, I just added a bunch of stuff to my Throne wish list, throne.com/Luxander. And yeah, other than that, I will see you tomorrow. Okay, bye. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.